What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome, alongside my co-hosts. We got Dev. Dev, how you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm good tonight.
All right, and Forrest is here. Forrest, how you doing?
I'm not gonna lie. Literally until 5 minutes ago, I forgot I was doing this.
That's probably like the ultimate Forrestism. Yeah, we'll say Forrestism.
Just almost I like it.
We also have producer Jeff on the ones and twos, producing the show. Jeff, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? I had to unmute myself, man.
Oh, that's right. Producer Jeff needs a warning. But no, we have it's a packed show. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Not a good week in gaming news. A lot of stuff to get into. Some of the top headlines. Microsoft laid off 10,000 employees. We're going to talk about that. We got some updates with Ubisoft. Modern Warfare 2 Season 2 is delayed, amongst other not great stories. So let's just jump right into the first headline. So this headline, I wasn't going to include it, but then I decided kind of last minute just because of how crazy it was. So a motorsport games employee has threatened to leak the source code of their 4 games at the studio. It's been a pretty bad situation there in motorsport games the past several months with employees not being paid, threatening lawsuits to its entire board of directors, or the board of directors leaving the company over funding disputes. In a new update from anonymous employees, Insider Gaming this past week learned that the company is now essentially being blackmailed to pay unpaid wages, or the source code of its 4 games will be released online. These games, obviously, motorsport games, they may generally make racing games, the NASCAR games, also games called IndyCar and KartCraft. The employee has demanded that all unpaid wages be paid by January 25th, or the source code will be released publicly online. I thought this was kind of wild that this is going on, where it's like, because I don't play NASCAR games or anything like that, but just the fact that there is a publisher out there that's just, or I guess a developer, they're just straight up not paying their employees, and now they're blackmailing the higher ups of the company.
Yeah, it's rough when you got to blackmail your boss just to get paid.
To get paid, right?
Yeah, that's.
You get a bonus for going through all that? Because, geez.
No, they're not even getting paid. Why do you think they're going to get a bonus?
No, that was the joke, is like you blackmail them for more than your pay, so you get a bonus. But no, that's fucked up. That is messed up. They should not be doing that.
Yeah.
How dare. Pay your employees. Pay your debts, everybody. Taxes are coming, gamers. No.
No, I mean, and again, like there was a lot of stuff that went down this past week, where like not a great week for employees of the games industry. Like I'll just say that much. We're gonna keep getting into it, but that's story number 1, guys, for the week. But moving right along. So this past week, Call of Duty announced that Season 2 of Modern Warfare 2 was delayed by about 2 weeks. It's launching on February 15th. They released the official statement saying, the Season 2 will be launching on February 15th. Our studio teams have been making several changes based on what we've heard from our player community. Season 2 includes all new content with the return of Resurgence and a brand new small map for Warzone 2.0. Ranked play is also back and coming to Modern Warfare 2, along with new multiplayer maps, new modes, weapons, and much more. Stay tuned for additional intel. So I think it'd be a good time to bring in producer Jeff for this. He's our resident Call of Duty kid. Producer Jeff, how do you feel about this?
I could have called it because they actually did this last year for Season 2, and it was on the exact same date that they had pushed it back as well. So they can try to say that this is because they're doing some changes or whatever. It's obviously a planned thing.
So, I mean, I think it's more of a coincidence. I did see that stat that it was delayed. I don't know. I think that I'm not feeling really great about Modern Warfare 2 right now, but not because they delayed the season. More so, I feel like Modern Warfare 2 and more so Warzone 2 is about to just kind of revert back to previous games and previous Warzone. And
They're giving us 1v1 in the gulag, which is the one thing that I really wanted. So
terrible. That's a terrible thing.
how is it a terrible thing when
the
I have a
2v2
chance to have a random partner that may be AFK? That
Sure.
makes no sense to me.
All right, so let me explain this to you, Jeff. So a battle royale game, winning a battle royale game is not easy. And if it is like
No.
if it's something that you're getting multiple chances to respawn, then that's, in my opinion, that makes the battle royale worse. I was never a fan of the gulag system. I was never a fan of the gulag system to begin with. I think that by making it 2v2, you are adding in an extra element where anything can happen. And I think that if you're going to do a respawn, I think adding more and more to make it more anything can happen makes it better. So by going back to a 1v1, again, number one, you're reverting to Warzone 1. You're bending, you're going backwards, not forwards. And it's just, again, I understand how the Call of Duty gamers will like this change. Absolutely they will. But they should just go play multiplayer. So,
so in my opinion, to even defend what you're saying here, because I don't think this was the change that should have been made, but I'm going to deal with it for the time being. The change that should have been made is when you die, you sit in the gulag until one of your teammates dies, and then you both are on the team, not some random asshole that's probably going to be AFK. Like, if you're going to force me in a 2v2, then I want one of those 2v2s to be my other teammate. Like, plain and simple.
But again, I mean, that just goes back to my original point, where I think that it was better when there was just that extra element of chaos. Like,
well, no, I would completely agree with that if the chances of somebody not being there as your teammate wasn't like 25%. Literally, 1 out of every 4 times I'm in the gulag, my teammate's standing there and he doesn't move.
I mean, I can only speak from my experiences. I barely have had that issue. Usually, I'm not saying they're always good teammates, but when I've played, they're like about 99% of the time, they've been there and ready to go.
We could always go back to the old school answer of get good, you know, so.
Sure, that's why I would say keep it at 2v2 and get good.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, don't get me wrong, I was winning my 2v1s, but
sure.
Wasn't fun.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens when Modern Warfare 2 Season 2 launches February 15th. But, I mean, in my opinion, don't think it's the best. All right, let's see what's going on in chat right now. We got the Day Trading Doge saying, oof, that's an L for sure. And Jamie the Comic says, evening, lads. It's 1 a.m. where he is, or where they are. What's up, Jamie? How you doing? Yeah, so Modern Warfare 2, not super thrilled with what's going on there. All right, next up, a Metal Gear voice actor has hinted a new announcement in the coming weeks. Following is coming from Games Radar. A Metal Gear Rising Revengeance actor is seemingly hinting at news relating to the dormant franchise in the coming weeks. Earlier today, on January 17th, earlier this week, on January 17th, actor Quinton Flynn used their personal account to respond to speculation about forthcoming Metal Gear-related news. When a Twitter user hypothesized that Metal Gear Rising or Metal Gear Solid news could be coming soon, Flynn replied that they would have to stay tuned for things to be announced in the coming weeks. It's really interesting to see Konami kind of getting possibly back into Metal Gear. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago here on the Game Room podcast. Dev, how do you feel about Konami after burning all their bridges in gaming, really, them possibly getting back into it?
I mean, I don't know. The legacy of Konami is pretty big, so it's like I guess it's bittersweet. Like, you know, let them come back to gaming. Hopefully, they come back good. You know, hopefully, come back well. Something to live up to. They've been going for a while. It feels like.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Forrest, what about you? What do you think?
I want that Revengeance too. Yo, I don't. If it's regular Metal Gear, if it's Revengeance though, and they figured out like this could be their Devil May Cry 5 of their series, like they realized how popular Revengeance was in the past like 2 years, and that's why they brought it back. They're gonna do a sequel, and they're gonna be making like super self-aware jokes about the typhoon guy that talks about lifeblood of memes. I want that. I want that again. I want like 7 senators. That's what I want.
Or is that could be potentially a very hot take? He's saying like regular Metal Gear, like fuck.
You don't like regular Metal Gear.
Huh?
I don't like regular Metal Gear.
No, I'm just saying there's a lot of people
It
that
can be the
probably
hottest
disagree with you.
take. I could not care less. Regular Metal Gear, I sleep.
Well,
Meme Metal Gear Revengeance, I wake.
what do you mean by regular Metal Gear? Are we talking Metal Gear Solid 1?
All of it.
Yeah, he's saying like traditional Metal Gear Solid, whereas Metal Gear Rising or Revengeance, whatever it was called.
I
The
was
first
fan.
Metal Gear Solid 1's like one of my favorite games of all time.
There we go. Here
Not
we
for
are.
me. I missed that. I skipped all that. I
I had
never
to jump
was
in
in the
there.
hype. I think the only one I played was Snake Eater, and I was so bad at it, the old guy died of old age.
People still use the
in the
alert
game,
sound
though.
as like their ringtone and their text message tone on their phones, man.
It was very
Man,
good.
I feel like I know Metal Gear Solid mostly from Smash Bros.
Well, in the chat, Jamie the Comic says MGS1 remake Metal Gear Rising Revengeance will be remastered for newer consoles. Metal Gear Rising was originally meant to be a spin-off, but they did nothing with it apart from the first. Also, Jamie the Comics just chimed in also saying, Konami has realized that their IPs are still wanted. So instead of selling right away, they're outsourcing the development and still publishing. Yeah, Jamie, I think you're right on that. I think that they're not going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, not doing a lot of the work. But they have the IP, kind of like what Dev said. The IP is really there and it's strong. You got Metal Gear, Castlevania, other franchises. That's just the top two that come to mind for me. But I mean, yeah.
Revenge.
Jamie also says they will make their portfolio more appealing to sell to PlayStation. I could see that happening. I could see PlayStation buying Konami's IP. All right. Back to the not fun headlines. Tencent is now partially owned by the Chinese government.
I'm not even surprised. Honestly, if you had told me they were part of it already, I would have thought so.
Yeah. Coming from Windows Central, Tencent is one of the world's biggest tech companies with interests spanning manufacturing to cloud and, of course, video games. To that end, Tencent is essentially one of Microsoft's biggest competitors in several verticals. It is often thought of as a primary concern with regards to Microsoft's ambitions in cloud gaming service type titles. Tencent's gaming arm largely revolves around mobile games and free-to-play titles with large stakes in firms like Epic of Fortnite and others. Tencent has full ownership of Riot Games and competes directly against Activision and Blizzard in particular, across titles like League of Legends and Valorant. Microsoft is attempting, as we all know, to purchase Activision Blizzard in a deal valued at $69 billion, which hopefully one day we can finally stop talking about. But yeah, China's government is now a partial owner of Tencent. Not great. Not great news.
Just shaking my head. Just shaking my
Yeah,
head.
there's not a lot to it because kind of like what Dev said, it's like you kind of assume that they were already kind of there,
Yeah.
but it was noteworthy, so it made the headline. But on to some Ubisoft updates. Because we were talking about Ubisoft in the topic of the last episode, kind of trying to figure out what's going on with them and Skull and Bones. Well, luckily, a lot of Ubisoft employees have began talking to InsiderGaming.com, obviously anonymously, and let's get into what some of the things that have been said. So, firstly, Ubisoft employees are going to be striking. They're going to be on strike following the CEO's comments.
Nice.
Recently, Insider Gaming reported on the damning revelation that Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot was laying the blame for the company's failings at the feet of its employees and demanding that they pick up the pieces. As you can likely imagine, comments of that nature haven't sat well with employees, and by way of response, staff in Ubisoft Paris are calling for a mass strike on the 27th of January. It has been relatively rocky time for Ubisoft as of late, and the somewhat hurtful comments made by Guillemot have simply added fuel to the fire. Insider Gaming goes on to say that this wasn't the right way to do it. In an effort to inspire and motivate its staff to perform better, Guillemot simply said the ball's in their court, and essentially the future of the company rests in their hands. So next week on January 27th, the staff at Ubisoft Paris, they're planning to walk out the entire studio, with those that are backed by a union standing resolute and demanding changes. There have been several demands laid out by the Solidaire Informatique du Video. It's in French, so hopefully I said that right. Forrest, was that, did that sound good? You're part French, or are French.
I'm unpracticing.
The employees' demands, they're demanding a 10% increase in all salaries, stating that the recent investment made by Tencent into Ubisoft more than covers it. Employees have demanded the implementation of a 4-day work week. There has also been a demand for transparency on the evolution and the future of workforce on a global scale. Obviously, these are by no means minor requests, but it's nice to see Ubisoft Paris kind of stepping up here after last week, which we talked about at length last week.
Yeah, I know this sounds pretty big. Like, it makes sense after what he was saying. Like, basically, work harder for cheaper, and now they're saying no, pay us.
Yeah,
Excellent.
they're
I
not
love it.
really asking for a lot. They're not asking for a lot. They're asking to be paid more, which the company was recently invested in, so I don't see why not. They're asking for a healthy work-home life balance, which I think is super important personally. And they're just asking to be kept in the loop with with the way the company is running. I don't think there's anything wrong with anything they asked for necessarily.
I agree. Like, no, they're good. I'm glad. Like, Ubisoft, stop it. Bad CEO. Bad. Where's the squirt bottles? Squirt him in the face like a bad cat or something. Exactly. Like, nah, dude. Don't. Ugh. Like I said, that was so scummy last week when we were talking about it. I was like, ew. The CEO just like made me like go. It gave me the ick, as they say. I was just like, ugh, gross. I'm so glad that those words directly inspired a strike, because that's just going to create problems for even management above him, above the CEO, the people who he answers to. So it's just going to be, let's go. Let's go. Way to put the way to do it. Let's go.
Well, so it's gone beyond that actually. Kotaku last week ran an article about Ubisoft devs grilling Yves Guillemot, and they shift the blame onto him and chasing trends in the industry. And like I said, this comes from Kotaku. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot faced tough questions from exhausted and fed-up staff about recent missteps and future plans in a company-wide Q&A session last Wednesday. The meeting comes just a week after the Assassin's Creed publisher announced new cancellations, delays, and cost-cutting measures, and told employees that the ball is in your court to help get the $3 billion company back on track.
Bro. Is it not literally what we said? If you did not watch last week's episode, go to last week's episode. Like, it. I hate this CEO. I hate him. He's getting up there on my top hated CEOs list.
Okay, so here's one of the first quotes in this Kotaku article. So the employee says, "The ball is in our court. For years it has been in your court. So why did you mishandle the ball so badly that we, the workers, have to fix it for you?" Read one upvoted question on a list submitted in advance through corporate communication channels. Let's see.
Bro, I want the CEO to resign. I want him to get dunked on. I want him to trip on his way out of the building on his last day. Like, everything.
Well, so Guillemot opened up the meeting by apologizing. He says, "I heard your feedback, and I'm sorry that this was perceived that way." Guillemot said, according to sources present who are not authorized to speak to press. "When saying the ball is in your court to deliver our lineup on time and the expected level of quality, I wanted to convey the idea that more than ever I need your talent and energy to make it happen. This is a collective journey that starts, of course, with myself and with the leadership team to create the conditions for all of us to succeed together." That's manager speak right there.
It is manager speak. I love it because it's say stupid stuff, win stupid prizes, and I can't wait for him to win his prizes.
Is he gonna win?
He gonna win. He is gonna win.
What is he gonna win?
What's he gonna win?
What's the prize?
Less letters on his name.
That would be pretty nice. I've read the name a few times while making the script for this week. It's
CEO, but yeah.
sure. Oh, he meant CEO. Oh,
He's
yeah.
gonna lose the CEO letters to his name.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of silent letters in his name too, so he could lose those and not feel anything. It'd be fine.
I think that I mean, it is a step in the right direction. Ubisoft has a lot to work on. They have a lot of IPs that they're working on at the same time, and it's just, yeah, this is just. I feel like this is a good step.
We'll see. While that clarification resonated with some developers, others who spoke with Kotaku still feel management is out of touch and found little in the meeting to reassure them. The hour-long affair was filled with industry buzzwords and business jargon and light on specifics. Chief Financial Officer Frederick Dujet said they needed to reduce costs and increase productivity. Chief People Officer Anika Grant rejected a recent proposal for 4-day work weeks and said requested raises to keep up with inflation were off the table amid the current financial struggles. None of the executives directly addressed the recent call for a strike over working conditions at the company's Paris studio. Guillemot remained vague about potential for layoffs as well. It's not about doing more with less, but finding ways to do things differently across the company, Guillemot said at one point. The meeting, after a particularly poor 2022 for the global publisher, which included no marquee blockbuster, as several projects were delayed, trapped in development hell, or shipped and failed to find an audience. It appears that management is out of touch with games, saying that we need to adapt an evolving industry, is the quote from another developer. It was another question that was for the meeting, it looks like. Another one was, why are we chasing trends instead of setting them? And that question I think goes really hand in hand with my point last week when we talked about it, where like Ubisoft, they used to be such a good publisher. They like the quality of games that Ubisoft used to put out used to be so high, and in the recent years they lost their way. I mean they just chase trends. They chase like, oh, let's make live service games that are so massive that you're gonna get burnt out and not enjoy them. Amongst other things. Microtransactions, the whole everything, just everything that they do.
I wonder if there's a direct timeline for when certain CEOs took over and then just their trend chasing starts. I wonder if there's a correlation in the timelines if you put them side by side. I really wonder that.
Let's check back in with chat real quick before we continue with this story. Jamie the Comic says, Ubisoft have so many IPs, but are worried about expanding to new or dormant IPs that they have been playing it safe for too long that it's hurting them. Jamie also says, Ubisoft were so close to bankruptcy so many times that they are not taking risks and have been laying in the same position for too long. Yeah, I mean those are great points. I think that it's not necessarily that they're laying down and staying in the same position. I think they're just not focusing in the quality department for these games. They're focusing in chasing trends, and the developers themselves are frustrated. So it's understandable.
Yeah.
To go on with the trends that I mentioned, those trends include the company's 2021 misadventure with NFTs, or its partnership with the now defunct Google Stadia streaming service. It could also describe, which died 2 days ago. Yeah, RIP, pour one out for Google Stadia. Anyways, getting back on track, could also describe the publisher's recent race to ship multiple free-to-play spin-offs of existing franchises, and a crowded slate of battle royale and hero-based shooters. Some of these, like Hyperscape, Roller Champions, have already launched and struggled to find audiences. Hyperscape actually already closed its servers down after a few months. Can you imagine launching a battle royale and just you have to shut it down in a few months? That's insane.
Yeah.
Others, like the Division Heartland, were announced a while ago, but have yet to actually come out. Ghost Recon Frontline is another example, revealed in 2021. It looked like a ripoff of Warzone, but with some new gameplay twists. I think I mentioned this last week. It was basically a battle royale that it was finished. The game was finished and was ready to launch, and they canceled it because there was literally zero interest in it. In the meeting, Guillemot also spoke of doubling down on Ubisoft's core franchises, like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and its Tom Clancy games, including Rainbow Six, whose potential the CEO compared to Riot Games' Valorant. Some see it as a retreat, not just from chasing trends, but experimentation as well. We need to acknowledge that the trends are for mega brands, said Marie-Sophie de Wilbur. There you go. Senior Vice President of Studio Operations, when asked about why the company didn't pursue more varied, smaller games, like Anno 1800, which was a game that they put out last year. So, I mean, that's generally, the feedback that Kotaku reports on in this article. It just definitely seems like the developers and the employees are just really frustrated with the company, and they just want to make good games. That's all any of these developers want to do is make good games. And I mean, we're seeing it time and time again, and publishers are starting to get in the way of that, and it really sucks to see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Insider
you said
Gaming. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said you said it best. They're getting in the way.
So Insider Gaming also, while speaking with Ubisoft employees anonymously, they did gain information that on one of the canceled games, it was the Project Q that had been announced. It was scheduled to have a series of upcoming playtests in the first half of this year. A developer update revealed the project was no longer in development. Basically, if I recall, Project Q, it was a arena team-based shooter. Again, just them chasing trends, and it's just, oh, everyone likes Overwatch, so let's make a team-based arena shooter.
Didn't they do that with Battleborn?
They did, and that also failed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Deb, were you excited for Battleborn?
I think it was also bad timing too, because I think Overwatch came out like right around the same time.
Yeah.
They did.
That was just
Well, along with that, we also an employee basically revealed the 11 games that are coming out from Ubisoft in the next year. Those games, I'm just going to run through them real quick. The Division Heartland, which is a free-to-play game coming to PlayStation and Xbox. Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland is a free-to-play survival action multiplayer shooter set in a fictional small-town middle America. I mean, you like The Division a lot, Dev.
yeah, it's pretty fun.
I think going free-to-play is just, again, them chasing another trend where The Division could be something really cool.
Yeah,
And I don't have any interest in a free-to-play Division.
because I really enjoyed Division 1 and 2.
Right.
I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna like this one because it seems like they're moving into that free to play space, and it's just I don't know.
Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is also rumored to still be coming out this year, according to the leak. It's a first-person action-adventure game developed by Massive Entertainment, based off of the movie Avatar. X Defiant, another free-to-play game, and I believe this was a Tom Clancy game, and then they took the Tom Clancy name off it after Backlash because Tom Clancy, for those that don't understand, the reason that Tom Clancy's name is on these games is because he was a writer and he wrote stories, kind of like military-esque stories. So these games were originally adaptations of his work, or I believe he actually wrote the script for the original Tom Clancy games, if I'm not mistaken. But X Defiant, when they showed it off, it was like a battle royale, or no, it was an arena shooter that was very like vibrant and colorful and had nothing to do with kind of like a real life war situation. So they took the name Tom Clancy off of it, and it just became X Defiant. But yeah, another free-to-play game apparently coming out this year. Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming out this year, according to the release, the leak. This is literally one of two games that I'm excited for, and it's the only game I'm like really excited for. Again, it's bad when the selling point is like, guys, we promise it's an old Assassin's Creed game. Like that's
yeah, that's horrible selling point.
Like, yeah, like that it's like, well, at least you're aware that you're fucking up. You know what I mean? Like you're aware you're making these mistakes. You're aware, but you're not.
It's not the recent crap we made.
But like their recent stuff, people do like it. People do play it. People do buy it. People,
it's bloated.
It's just different.
It's bloated.
That's also like stick to it. Like don't keep changing it. Every game's like essentially a different game.
I mean, it gets better. I think I like the idea of them having both Assassin's Creed. So they said like they'll have the traditional Assassin's Creed and they'll have the RPGs with like the China game. So it's like I don't know. It's cool to have both. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think you make a lot of good points on that. I mean, it's good to have both, but I mean, for me, the RPG games in the Assassin's Creed franchise, they're just they're too big, and it's just like I
But that's a
understand.
development thing. Just don't make them as big. Don't make it better.
Is that a development thing though, or is that Ubisoft again pointing out like, hey, make it's a live service. We're gonna make a live service Assassin's Creed where you're gonna have to
Service
keep
Battle
playing.
Royale Assassin's Creed.
They're just
It
like
is a live service.
80+ hour games.
They 80. It's more like 150, and
That's
then
not
and then
much
they
service.
release and then they release updates. The point is they want you to log into that game every day for years.
Yeah.
And that's not. I don't think that's a fair
No, that's
model to ask gamers who
not
want to
live.
play other games. And I think it is. It's light, but it does have elements of a live service. Let's head over to the chat. Jamie the Comic says Battleborn was by 2K, so not Ubisoft. Jamie also says Skull and Bones was hyped for so long that it needs to be a perfect game for it to succeed. A good case for not announcing a game before they are confident it's ready to be released. I couldn't agree more with that, Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie, that's a home run right there.
I don't think it's going to be a perfect game either.
Oh, it's not.
It's going to be a good game at most. But
It's not going to be a good game. It's not going to be a good game.
well, we talked about this in games that took 6 years to make.
Right, and we also discussed that it's not about the development time; it's about how many times that the development was off the rails.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if it took 6 years to make Breath of the Wild. They were on track for the most part. Did they have to delay it by a few months for the Switch? Yeah, they did. But the development was still on track. It wasn't a hellish development cycle like Skull and Bones, where it's like, oh, all right, game's coming out in 2 years. Oh wait, now it's coming out in another 2 years and another like no, like that's not a well-developed game. That's development hell.
We'll see.
We will. Dev, you're gonna review Skull and Bones for us.
Say about that too.
Look, the guy, you don't have faith in the game. You're not even gonna buy it. Like, Jesus. Other games that are announced for this year: Project Orland, which is rumored to be the Crew 3. It started out originally as Crew 2 DLC, but apparently it evolved into its own game. Assassin's Creed Nexus for the Oculus is coming out. The Division Resurgence, which is a mobile game. Rainbow Six Mobile, which is obviously a mobile game. Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, which while it does look good, also a mobile game. Which, Forrest, I actually was, while looking at this article, in Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, you create your own assassin.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go. Got him.
Got him.
He's back in. He's back in on Ubisoft.
I do hope that comes to console.
I really do. Please give it a port. It looks good.
It does look good.
Oh yeah, it's set in China. Yeah. And it's set in ancient China, and I mean, again, I think the game looks good. But actually, that's a really good producer Jeff point out there. You know, the game set in China is the mobile game, which mobile gaming obviously very big over there. I mean, it's definitely something to note. And then lastly, the Assassin's Creed Netflix collaboration, which is coming to mobile. So I mean, again, like just looking at these releases, you're seeing the trends. You're seeing mobile games, you're seeing free-to-play arena shooters, and you're not just seeing one from Ubisoft. You're seeing multiple of the same type of game coming out within a year. Like that's just not smart.
So I want to jump in real quick. If you read that very bottom sentence here, the game will be exclusive to Netflix and won't feature any ads or in-app purchases. Hold on, how is this game going to be exclusive to Netflix? Is Netflix now going to host games on their app?
So Netflix has been hosting games on their mobile app, and apparently they have pretty good games. It's not big anywhere yet, but they're trying to get their foot into the gaming market.
Right, which is why they're working with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
How did I not know about that? That's crazy.
What?
Because you're too busy on the ones and twos, producer Jeff. It's okay.
Yeah.
Going back over to the chat real quick. Jamie the Comic is saying if it's a 7 out of 10 by IGN, the people won't buy it because it's average and it will be an expensive failure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. But luckily, that is all we have for Ubisoft right now. Let's talk about how Suicide Squad really lost some hype for me this week, and probably not for you, Dev. But I mean, for me, it definitely did. So a screenshot leaked, which appears to reveal that Suicide Squad is a live service game with a battle pass. I like the little chuckle. I could just imagine Forrest just like, um, well, it seems like Rocksteady's upcoming Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League could feature live service elements, including a store and a battle pass. This information comes from a leaked screenshot of the game 4 months ahead of its release. VGC reports that the leaked image originated on 4chan, and the outlet says it confirmed with its own sources that the image is real. Screenshot shows what looks like the game's main menu, where we can see all 4 playable characters lined up. Unfortunately, the image seems to have been taken down, which double down that it's real, because that means WB probably was like, oh, we got to get that taken right down. Send out a good old cease and desist. But IGN does note that the left side of the screen shows a chapter select menu, while on the bar on the top of the screen it shows options including looks, loadout, social, store, and battle pass. This indicates that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League could contain live service elements. According to VGC's sources, the battle pass will be focused on cosmetic items. Their sources say that the currencies at the top of the leaked image are XP numbers for powering up and customizing your characters. VGC was also told that the characters don't start out weak; they start off great and can get ridiculous, like Arkham Knight's Batman. I'm not a fan of the live service element. I'm also not really a fan of the battle pass style. I think that I like buying a game. Like I buy a video game, I pay for the video game, and then I play the video game, and everything that's on the video game, I play it. And then I'm like, wow, this is a great video game. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to come back to this at some point in the future and play it again. But for now, I'm going to play a different video game. I don't like the live service stuff. I don't like the battle pass stuff. I would like to see finished games be finished. And the live service model hurts that. I think it gives developers the mindset that a game is never finished. And in fact, Todd Howard said that at Bethesda when Fallout 76 came out, and it was terrible. And he was like, well, with this new model, games are never really finished. We just keep working on them forever. It's like, so what are you supposed to do if you want to buy the game? Like, you're going to jump in to a game you want to play, and the developers are like, it's not done, but it'll be done someday. Just go ahead and buy it. Like, no, I think that's scummy. I don't like that at all.
But that's not the case for every live service game.
It is for most.
It isn't.
It is. We're going to be talking about one later on that was that, and
So,
it failed miserably.
I think a live service game fits better for people who like playing that game for a long time, who enjoy that game. And it doesn't even have to be, for example, Rocket League, that's a live service game. You can jump on, you can play it, you can play with your friends, right now, you can play with your friends a year from now. It's going to be the same game, but it's a live service game. Hunt Showdown, that's a good game. Destiny 2, Genshin Impact, Apex, Fortnite. I can keep going on. These are all great games. If you think any of those games are bad, you can say so right now.
So I'm not. So, okay, let me add like a caveat to the live service thing.
You're saying bad games are bad, and I'm saying
that the live service model hurts certain types of games. I don't disagree with your point that those games are. Sorry, Dev sits next to me, so I keep looking off the camera. I'm not saying that those games are bad. Like Rocket League, no, not a bad game. But the live service model, like Rocket League is a straight up multiplayer game for 2 teams. Like, it's just different. I don't have a problem with that necessarily. But what I have a problem with is when you take a game which is probably going to play like the Batman Arkham games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that does not need to be a live service game.
I agree.
That's a game that should have a beginning, a middle, and end, and all the content should be there on the disc or digitally, whatever, for the player to access as soon as they buy the game. I don't think that the live service. I think the live service model hurts certain types of games. I'm glad I could rephrase that. That's how I feel about that.
Okay.
I don't think it's a good. I don't think it's a good model for a
mean-
game like Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, because I'm expecting the game. We haven't seen too much gameplay.
Yeah, we haven't seen much.
I'm expecting it to play somewhat like the Arkham game.
I
It's
think it's-
Rocksteady, so
yeah.
I'm expecting that.
But I think they're just gonna add more story stuff, more outfits probably. Like that doesn't hurt a game at all.
Yeah, but it's
Giving
sucks.
a game more on top of what already has if it's already finished, that doesn't hurt the game.
Yeah, but I think it sucks because it's just
Why does it suck?
because if I'm playing the game,
extra content to a game that you like. If you play the game and beat it and you're done with it, you're done with it. You don't have to play it to get the extra outfits. You know, like if you want the Christmas outfit, you don't have to play it for that. You know what I mean?
because when you spend $70, now it's $70. Games
Mhm.
cost $70.
Yeah.
Now. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you get the game, you should have all those cosmetics in the game. I'm sorry, like, that's just how I feel about it. I don't
But then
think
development would never end for that game.
no, it would
Because they're creating content as they go on. They create, Christmas outfits. And a lot of games have DLC and they're not even live service. So it's just like it's the same thing.
I don't know. I think that's just an agree to disagree thing on
In
that.
all fairness, the game looks incredible.
Yeah, it
Holy
looks
shit.
incredible.
It does, and I don't disagree with that.
To get more of something that's great.
Because my concern is that the live service model will make the game worse.
How?
We've
In
seen it
what-
happen.
In what way?
Avengers. Let's talk about it.
Avengers.
We're going to talk about Avengers. I shouldn't have brought it up because we're
All right.
going to talk about
But
it.
Avengers was a bad game, period.
Yes, because it chased the live service model.
No.
Yes. Oh.
Look at Destiny.
Here it
Destiny
is.
chases the live service model. It's a great game. It's a great game.
I can't speak on
If
Destiny. I
you
haven't
make
played
a
it.
game-
I haven't played Destiny. I can't speak.
Okay, but if you make a great game and you add live service on top of it, it enhances the game.
This is what
People still play Destiny.
Yep.
There's a huge lore. It's you can still play with your friends. You can still have your same character.
this is what Forrest.
But then when you
is
make a
waiting
crap
for.
game and add live service onto it, it's just more crap.
I legitimately can't find this photo. It's been scrubbed off of Twitter and
Oh,
Reddit.
completely. Yeah, it probably has been. I wouldn't be surprised. This was from a few days ago. I think the exact date this happened was 5 days ago. So yeah, WB totally moved in and scrubbed the image.
They're copywriting it. It says this has been copywritten. Like, oof.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
It depends on the gameplay, the type of gameplay, and what they're using this live service for.
all I'm
Yeah.
saying is when I saw this news, I instantly thought of the Avengers game, and then ironically,
That's-
2 days later, the news about the Avengers came out,
Yeah, that's fair.
and we're going to
Well,
talk about the Avengers.
So all right, let me be the little voice of reason here. You're both right and you're both wrong. But no, you're both right. It depends on the genre of the game. Like a live service shooter, that makes sense. A live service competitive anything makes sense. You got your Fall Guys, your Apex, your Destiny. That's technically a FPS shooter with a lot of online activity. 90% of the game is online. That makes sense for it to be a live service. Arkham Knights, or whatever the hell it's called, that totally does not make sense being a live service. Avengers should have not been a live service. It really comes down to the property and the thing. It's like basically RPGs should not be live services. That is an RPG, and those are both RPGs. The only thing that actually worked, and it's I'm gonna actually blame Destiny for this. Destiny has RPG elements on its shooter. That's why it works, because it has RPG elements, not because it's an RPG.
But-
So it's very much comes down to the genre, and that's pretty much it. If the genre, some genres do not make sense being live service. A pure RPG like Avengers has no right being a live service. Arkham Knights, whatever, maybe. I haven't touched the game. I don't know what actually the gameplay loop is. I would say maybe not be online.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, so and then you have Dev's case where Destiny makes sense to be online. Apex makes sense to be online. Call of Duty makes sense to be online. Then you have something like Pokemon. That would never make sense to be an online service.
I mean, yeah, it would.
Pokemon?
Yeah.
Just do update. How would that wait, okay, never mind. Now I'm on Rome's side.
That's
How?
what I'm saying. This guy just chooses chaos sometimes.
How would Pokemon benefit from being a live service battle pass-esque? What, I gotta play for 7 days straight to unlock Charizard?
No,
Damn it.
not that kind. Like I said before,
That's a live service.
it depends on what content you're getting from the live service.
Okay, how would you do a Pokemon game as a live service?
I mean, that's a whole nother episode, but
no, it's too much.
No, for example, we had if it's just updates, gaming updates, like Sword and Shield had 2 updates. If it's something like
That's
that,
not a live service though.
but that could work.
They made expansions to the game. That's not the same thing.
That's
But we don't
DLC.
know. But what I'm saying is we don't know what this Kill the Justice League live service is going to add. If it's just adding that stuff, then it's fine. It's
Yeah, but so
No,
so
it's
live
Nick
service
Diamond.
isn't
Nick Diamond.
necessarily used. I think Dev, you might be confusing DLC and live service.
He does. Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
but then,
DLC like a battle pass is live service.
yeah, I get-
DLC is another patch of maybe 30 to 40 hour, like
Yep.
30 minutes to like 4 hours of extra content
Right.
that you pay 10 to whatever. Like in Pokemon's case, it's $60. Or here you go. Monster Hunter Rise. They do a big DLC that is essentially Monster Hunter Rise 2 every like 2 years into the cycle of the life cycle of the original.
Sure.
So we always know it's coming, and it's a massive update, and but the game's fine by itself. But like, I could not see that being a live service. What are they gonna do? Just keep putting in skins and weapons? I mean, I would actually like that, but I don't see that adding benefit to the game. I'd rather get the chunky DLC boys and occasionally get a monster thrown in or a special quest every so often. That would be DLC. A live battle pass is like what? So I have to kill Superman 45 times to unlock Harley Quinn's golden gun?
but like so I'm glad you said that. Monster Hunter Rise is a live service game.
Mm.
It is. It's a live service game.
It's not.
Are you
It
going by
is,
the
it's
literal
literally
definition of live service?
Plays this game all the time. He knows what it is.
Is it?
Rise is not a live service game.
It's not.
No, it is a game that you can hunt online. It
Right.
does not have a battle pass. They give you weekly events that you
Live
like a
service.
singular mission once
That's
a
what
week.
Devroro just said.
Sometimes.
You didn't make a game that makes you want to come back every week, even though you put it down. That's live service.
I think all right. I think maybe that definition's not good either.
But it is though. Genshin Impact, single player
Genshin
game.
Impact is a gotcha game. We're now on a third different topic.
But it's a live service game. These games are live services. It is. That's what I'm saying. It depends on the content that you're
Hold
getting
on.
from the game. If you're getting massive, maps and whole parts of the game that you said should take only 3 or 4 hours to play, that's content that I like. If you get outfits, that's content that people like.
So my thing with that stuff, I think what it really comes down to it is you're nickel and diming your customers at that point.
Yeah, but you
And I
don't.
don't like that.
Okay, but nobody's forcing you to buy it. But you buy the content that you like to play. If you like Call of Duty,
Okay. Wait, I googled it. Daddy Google's gonna settle this. Technically, Genshin Impact, you are correct, is a live service game.
It is a live service game. That is correct.
a game that kind of rewards you for coming back every week is a live service game.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So if you want content,
But there's more to it than that. There's more to it than that.
Yeah,
But that's a live service game.
Okay, so I think really
Here's what I'm saying. If Kill the Justice League has content where it's like, play this week, and you have here's an example for Arkham Asylum, I believe. You fight Calendar Man. He's one of the villains. Now Arkham Asylum is not Arkham City. Arkham City is not a live service game at all. It's not. But if you fought Calendar Man on Christmas, if you went to talk,
there
to
was
him,
an achievement to go back and visit them 10
there's
different
stuff on New
days.
Year's, there's stuff every holiday. That's not a live service game, but that's live service as content. So what I'm saying is, if Kill the Justice League has content like that, where it's like, man, I really love this game, I wish there was more for it. I buy a battle pass for however much it costs, and I can come back next month and then play the game more that I like. Now, if I don't have to. It's
So let me kind of even zero in a little bit more on what my problem is, because I see what you're saying about a live service game. I understand the element of there being a little something new to do every week. I get that. If you really love it,
if
that's
the game
great.
is good.
Sure. My thing is, the part of the live service model that I don't like is when you have the marketplaces and just, again, for me, it's really comes down to the two big things: the nickel and diming and the marketplaces that go into these games, and then also the structure of the games. And we're going to talk about Avengers, but I don't want to get too much into it. But I really enjoyed I would go as far as to say I fucking loved the first 8 hours of Avengers. Loved it. And then like we'll talk about it, but then after that completely changes. And it's things like that I can't get behind. And then the marketplace stuff, like yeah, that's true. I don't need to go and buy every single cosmetic item, but it does make you feel a little left out. Like I buy a lot of different games. I budget my game purchases out. I don't have the money to just buy a game and then continue to pour money into a game. I just don't have that kind of money. And like some people, like you said, they buy that one game and they play that game.
Yeah, so
but I feel like as a customer, I'm missing out because like let's say, I don't know, like for the purpose of this game, let's say Harley Quinn has some really dope costumes that are locked behind, microtransactions. I think that's kind of lame. I remember when you play a game and those were just there. And I'm also okay with expansions because expansions are kind of bulked into like $20, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's a shit ton of content.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I guarantee you for most of these live service games, if you look at the marketplace and each of those items and you add them up, they would be exorbitantly more money than a regular size expansion would be. And I don't like that. I think that's scum.
So I just found a quote and I think it kind of surmises and we'll put a nice little bow on this conversation. It is from the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, blah, 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 digitaltrends.com. Many live services game entice players with content that can feel manipulative, hollow, and designed to keep players hooked. That is both your points. And then this is Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak does not offer players countless hours or an endless commitment. The only thing it wants to give you is just another moment in Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah,
and I very much like that. It's manipulation, hollow, and designed to keep players hooked, which is what Rome's saying. And then you have Dev on the other side saying the moments. And this is where I originally said you're both wrong and you're both right.
Sure, because how long did we play Destiny 1? Me and you, Forrest.
I don't know, whenever you played. I mean, I got lost 90% of the time, so I would just say you're playing two players.
Yeah,
but
we played it for so long because there was always new stuff to go back to. And we didn't buy a battle pass or anything. They just kept updating the game. It was cool.
So again, I'm not gonna go out and say that the entire model, no game does that model justice. I haven't played Destiny, but I will believe you when you tell me that Destiny's a good game because I think you're a smart guy for the most part, except for a few takes. But it's just like he said, like Forrest said, it's hollow moments. You're keeping the player going with hollow moments.
Yeah.
And that's how they're nickel and diming you. Well, then what's why are all of these live service games, most of these live service games, why do they do that then?
Like what?
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna say Avengers, Anthem. Those are the big two.
You're naming bad games. They're not. It's not even their bad.
He's naming games that became bad because of the live service failure.
Exactly. The first 8 hours of Avengers is incredible.
I've heard differently.
Well,
I've heard differently. It's a bad game.
It's a good game for the first 8 hours, and then they're like, oh hey, live service, and it sucks. After that, it absolutely sucks.
Yeah, I will go at Rome on that one. They you hit a wall where there's a game, and then the game is good, and then all of a sudden they're like, buy this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like getting an ad shoved in your face in between. Like I'm trying to think there's a commercial there's a station that plays technically the most commercials out of any station. And it's exhausting to actually watch this channel, and I forget what it is. But it's like chronically getting bombarded with like, hey, you want to buy Thor's Mjolnir DLC for $5, and it'll let you shoot lightning out of his butt for 2 minutes sometimes?
But
That's manipulative and hollow.
But most of the games are bad. That's the point.
But they're not. You just named 2 bad ones. That's it.
Anthem was bad though.
Anthem was literally a tech demo that they tried to make into a full live service game. It wasn't ready.
They literally took an excellent developer in BioWare.
Yeah.
And they put them on a fucking death march.
No, I agree with you. It's a thing, but
and it's just terrible.
Yeah, that was just horrible. But those are just bad games.
I rest my case.
You're resting your case on 2 bad games. You're not resting your case on 2 bad live service games.
They're bad live service games.
Bad live services.
What else? There's more.
There's way more good games out there than are bad. You're saying most, and it's not most.
I would argue that Anthem, if it had been made into a regular game a non-live service game, that game would have been good. That game looked incredible when they were showing that game off.
Absolutely, but it was a tech demo. It was not a full game.
And then Avengers, again, we could disagree on that. Did you play Avengers?
No, but I
promise you that first 8 hours is a lot of fun. And then afterwards, like Forrest says, you hit a wall, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, there are, but to Dev's point, there are some great live service games. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, League of Legends, Dota 2.
Sure.
And Marvel's Avengers.
Fortnite is actually a live service game.
Because of the live service.
It's just a bad game, period.
This guy can't separate the two.
No, you can't separate it. It's a bad game. It's not the live service.
All right,
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
We're gonna wrap this up because we're not going anywhere. It's just the facts.
Just move on.
We are gonna.
I love it here.
This, by the way, this was the content Forrest was begging you to get on the show for.
Yes, it was. It was good. This was peak content.
I did tell producer Jeff that this would happen too. Eventually, it was just a matter of time. Anyways.
Real quick before your next topic, 49ers just scored a touchdown and they gave the ball to Jerry Rice. It was awesome.
That's cool. What's the score?
16-9.
All right.
Warzone, Counter-Strike,
All right.
Overwatch.
Well, another major trade organization is now backing the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. We're not going to stay too long on this one, but the European Games Developer Federation, or EGDF, is supporting the acquisition. That's kind of really all there is to it. It's just a quick little update. They say the EGDF supports Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition as its potential positive impacts on the competition in game markets in general outweigh the limited console and subscription market specific competition concerns. Furthermore, in the console game markets, Sony is a clear market leader with its PlayStation platform, and Microsoft is still in a challenger position. I thought this was great that European game developers are coming out and saying this. Cool. We should probably listen to them. They're the ones that make these games.
As long as it's to closing this deal, I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
It's like I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Well, that's just too damn bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really good. But that's all on that front. Luckily, there's actually not a lot of Activision news this week, so yay, I guess.
Yay.
Balloons.
There's a showcase on Wednesday, right?
The Xbox showcase, is on Wednesday.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Fortnite is getting a Dead Space collab planned for this month. It's going to be taking place, according to this, tomorrow on January 23rd. It will release prior to the Dead Space remake. Let's see.
I gotta say though, Dead Space, Fortnite is killing it with these collabs, man.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, that's a great live service game.
It is a great live service game.
Right.
Yeah, so live service games can be good.
They can be under the right genre.
Mm-hmm.
Under the right genre, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never said that. We don't really know a lot about it, but it's going to be a part of the Fortnite.
I think he's getting like a plasma scythe pickaxe or something.
It looks like it's going to be an outfit, 2 backpacks, a pickaxe, a built-in emote. It's going to be a Dead Space drop, and it's going to come with 1,500 V-Bucks.
Oh, and the My Hero Academia one was actually pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think Fortnite does a lot of cool things. Again, that is a genre that I think does the live service model really well.
I mean, they gave us Naruto with AK-47 as a meme, and that's hilarious.
I mean, I think that it still isn't the model for me personally. I mean, I like to have a game that has a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy battle royales. I just don't like the building. That's why I've never really played Fortnite. Like I played it once.
There's no build mode. There's no build mode now. They got rid of it.
Skyrocketed for a while when they added that. Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe I will check it out then. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking of checking it out too. There's a no build mode where it's just old school. Like you just get to play with all the skins, and like you can do Kamehamehas, and you can do United States of Smash.
That's
it's dope.
Yeah,
it's dope.
Maybe I'll check it out. Let's jump over to the chat real quick. Let's see. Oh, Jamie says that they're really enjoying our debate about live service games. Says that all three of us are so passionate. Really appreciate that, Jamie. Jamie, if you enjoy that discussion, there's going to be more in the future. Please hit that subscribe button. Please stick around and hang out with us here. Oh, what was that, Joe?
No, I said it was literally. It's literally every show.
It will be it will be almost every show. Yeah. Jamie also says that they understand that the argument when it comes to Call of Duty, which is why they think Call of Duty should be its own parent company, have Activision be bought by Microsoft, but keep COD out of it to keep everyone happy. My problem with that is that Activision is a horribly run company with all the harassment. I think that third-party publishers are. Oh, Jamie, subscribe. Thank you so much, Jamie. Third-party publishers are a huge problem in the games industry. I mean, can we agree on that, Def? That these third-party publishers, they're generally not well run. Like third-party, like I'm talking EA, Activision, Ubisoft.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like it's just a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, you always hear something coming out of the
Right.
works with them.
Yes.
Jamie's been subbed for months. Oh my God, Jamie, you rock.
Look at that. Look at that top tier.
Look at that.
Viewer.
Jamie rocks. But so yeah, it's just you gotta have Activision. I support all of the big three buying these third-party publishers, not because consolidating the industry is good, but because these third-party publishers have proven that they cannot run themselves. They just can't. Like Ubisoft, Activision, EA, these companies have done a terrible job at running themselves in the modern day.
Even if they don't get bought, I think unionizing,
yes,
that would really help.
I really agree with that too. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean,
because there's something I don't know. To me, it feels like there's something cool about having that freedom, like
Mhm.
that. Let them be a third party publisher. Just like there needs to be some control.
Yeah.
And management.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like that's
yeah.
All right, let's talk about Forspoken, guys. Comes out this week. There is some bad omens about this game coming out. So, which number one, I actually learned this past week. It's a timed exclusive. It's coming out on Xbox in 2 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did not know that either. It seemed like PlayStation has once again opened the checkbook, but nobody has said anything about this.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Double standards. It's amazing.
Call of Duty, but okay.
Anyways, so the following came from Twitter. It originally was Andy Robinson from VGC, but also Skill Up, who's a really awesome YouTube channel. I think you watch Skill Up, right?
No.
I thought one of you guys did. Oh, Skill Up's really great. But basically, they were talking about this. A lot of major reviewers/outlets did not get review codes in advance for Forspoken. This is generally a really bad sign for games coming out. It generally means that that in this case, I believe it's Square Enix. Square Enix does not want reviewers talking about this game before it comes out.
Yeah.
And that's never a good thing.
Did they send out? Well, hold on. Square Enix be funky sometime. Did they send out review copies of Reunion?
Reunion? Oh, Crisis Core?
Yeah.
I think so.
Then yeah, no, you're right. All right.
I don't recall off the top of my head because that was last month. That was December.
To me, this just seems weird, mostly because they put out a demo, or I guess an alpha, or whatever you want to call it, beta, and it was pretty good. So it's like, what are you hiding? People have played your game already. What more is there?
Only the beta was good. Everything after the beta is bad.
Yeah, it's just like Avengers. It's just like Avengers. After the first few hours,
The first 8 hours.
In a wall.
It's a possibility, yeah.
And then Forspoken turns into a live service.
It honestly could just be a weird move on their part, but it is a bad omen. It is like it makes you think twice.
Yeah, I mean, well, and the concerning thing is, again, going back to what Skill Up tweets. So Skill Up, quote tweets Andy Robinson, who said VGC will not have a review up Monday, which is tomorrow, because they did not receive a review code. Skill Up goes on to say that he had heard that about 7 major outlets/reviewers did not get codes for this. And when you say major for me, like that's kind of like a red flag.
Yeah.
Like is it going to be like IGN posting a review by themselves tomorrow? Like what are we looking at? Because if you're talking Monday, like I think it's down in the notes, but Forspoken comes out this week. It comes out it comes out on Tuesday. Yeah, it comes out Tuesday. So
it's a little weird.
Yeah, that's a bad look, and it's pretty bad. going down into the responses, Tom Warren, who I believe he works at The Verge, said the PC requirements tell you everything you need to know. Jez Corden says higher PC requirements than Chrome SMH.
This is starting to sound like a Cyberpunk 77 thing, where if your equipment isn't up to par, you're gonna have a bad time.
What's it gonna look like on a PS5?
Yeah. You could be developing for the PS5.
Well, like here's my next point, because Cyberpunk kind of did the same thing where they sent out next gen codes, preferably. They didn't want to send out the last gen codes.
Yeah.
So like if this game's coming out, if this game isn't going to run well on PC, you would think they're pushing. No, this is just PS5 and PC on Tuesday, and then in 2 years Xbox.
That's worrying. Unless they're afraid that you have a bad PC.
But again, then send out PS5 codes. You can still review the game, because reviewers always say like, "Oh, this was reviewed on the PS5."
What if Xbox was like, "Yeah, you know what? We'll wait 2 years. It's fine." Like I
Yeah,
saw the game.
It'll be good in 2 years.
It runs good on PS5.
We need 2 years to fix that.
Yeah, the Xbox Series X is more powerful, so you would have to assume it would run better on the Series X.
This is weird. We'll have to see. We'll hear about it.
We'll hear about it in days. We'll probably be talking about it next week.
But I did see that the requirements for it's a pretty beefy game. Like
uncapped frame rates.
It's probably capped, but it's probably capped at like 120. I didn't read it. I didn't read the requirements.
All right, moving on. We got kind of a two-parter here. And I thought this was pretty interesting. So game developers were polled about a list of topics. And then two of the big ones were harassment from players and the metaverse and the blockchain. So let's talk about first the player harassment. The following comes from Axios. Harassment threats and other toxic behavior from players are taking their toll on people who make games, according to a new poll. More than 75% of game creators responding to the 11th annual State of the Game Industry Survey said it is a serious or very serious issue, according to data released this past week. The poll was conducted with more than 2,300 game developers from around the world and has a 3% margin of error, according to its organizers at the GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference, and affiliate publication Game Developer. 40% of respondents said they had experienced harassment directly, more so among respondents who were not men or who identify as LGBTQ+.
What?
68. What was it?
Sorry, no, continue.
Oh, okay, sorry. 68% of respondents said their company did something about it. A fifth said their company did nothing about it. Threats against game makers from players have been an unwelcome burden for workers in the industry for over a decade. Developers have reported harassment for anything from delaying a game to changing a feature to expressing preference for developing stories instead of content. The harassment is often targeted at developers who are women, trans, or otherwise members of unrepresented groups in gaming. The developers went on to say the companies need to take it seriously, one survey taker said in remarks shared by organizers. I received death threats and they contacted my family on social media, but the company I worked for ignored my concerns. Another quote, large companies seem to fear that their toxic players are their fan base without appreciating that they're impacting much larger numbers of their actual fan base. Another survey taker shared. Some threw up their hands, calling harassers an inevitable vocal minority or suggesting that listening to player complaints can stave off a lot of abuse. But another noted, we also need to stop inviting the community to be part of the family. You're part of the conversation. You get to offer an opinion, but you don't get to demand everything goes your way.
Seems fair.
While surveys help quantify the amount of concern game creators have over player toxicity, the number of game creators it has driven from the field is much harder to know, according to Axios. This reminded me of the story from last year with the God of War Ragnarok release date.
Yeah.
When there was a rumor like, oh, they're going to announce the release date for Ragnarok, and then that date passed, and Sony Santa Monica and Cory Balrog had to come out and say like, yo, like they were getting death threats at the studio.
Yeah.
Like what is wrong with people? Like I'm not trying to paint the Sony thing because I think all fan bases have their toxicity, but it's like, man, like it's really bad out there.
343 has been getting a lot of it too. Last year when they said that Forge would be pushed back, that was bad. They got death threats for that. I think they had to put out something for that as well.
Yeah,
It's just
it's insane.
it is insane.
It's ridiculous.
You shouldn't be getting death threats to make a game better. To make a game better for you. They're making it for us. It's weird.
I'm just gonna jump in for a second on this one because my opinion's probably not the greatest, but this happens in just about everything nowadays. Sports players get death threats all the time. It's a product of this new social media where everybody thinks they're a keyboard warrior. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're right, Jeff. Actually,
it happens everywhere. I'm not just excluding everything else, but I mean it's disgusting. It shouldn't happen, and people need to grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't downplaying it. I was saying this happens all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, man. Boris, what do you think?
Leave the creators alone. Let them do what they want to do, and you take the game that they give you and shut up.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
If you don't want it, don't spend your money on it.
Yeah,
Ta-da! Problem solved.
I always remember also the Mass Effect 3 thing back in the day when it was like people were so upset about that ending, and like some people did something cool, like they said, like some people sent cupcakes to BioWare, but like some people were sending death threats then too, and it's just like you didn't like the ending of a trilogy of video games, so you decided to send death threats to the developers.
Yeah, that is weird. I think
It's concerning to me that like in someone's mental state that seems like a justifiable response. You know what I mean?
You remember The Last of Us 2. That was a whole.
That was really bad too. Yeah.
We're sending death threats to people who like the game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but again, that's another PlayStation fan base.
I mean, but it happens in every.
It does happen, but I mean, it happens.
Wild gets pushed back. It's always, it's just weird. It's just weird people.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
Wild. It's all
No.
wild. Like I could never, even if I ever let's say I got through a game or trilogy, whatever, and the ending just sucked. It was just dog shit, and I was just like, okay, that sucked. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
And then if somebody, I keep my opinions to myself, and then or I'll tweet. I'll just do a singular tweet. I'm not tagging them. I'm not directly DMing them. I'll be like, man, that sucked. That was a waste of 3 years.
Saying that the person who made this game should die, it's
wild. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's touch on the other part of the state of the games industry survey. Game developers are not sold on the metaverse or blockchain. I'm so surprised by this.
Are you really?
No, that was absolutely sarcastic. It's like, no, I can't believe that game developers are against some things that are literally making video games worse. Like, oh wow, oh man, I had no idea. Live service games too. As commonplace as it is to see big, bold speculations about a futuristic metaverse in the games industry discussions, game developers themselves don't seem too hot on the concept. Let's see. It says, which of these companies' platforms do you think is best placed to deliver the promise on a metaverse concept? The platform that got the most votes was Epic Games' Fortnite with 14%, followed by Meta at 7%, Microsoft with Minecraft at 7%. 5% of developers said Roblox, and even fewer brought up options like Google, Apple, Second Life, Sony, Tencent, Amazon, and VR Chat. But nothing got anywhere near as many votes as an answer that isn't a platform at all. None. The metaverse concept will never deliver on its promise, which took away. Dev, do you have the link open? Don't open it if you didn't.
Okay, I didn't.
What do you think is the percentage of game developers out of 2,300 that think that the metaverse will never deliver on its promise?
I would say half.
Okay. Forrest, what do you think?
89%.
Okay, that's a bit high, but Dev is a little bit closer. Jeff, do you want to take a shot at this or? Okay, well, there you go. So Dev is just going to win this game. 45%. 45% voted that, which is up from 33% last year. So basically almost half of game developers surveyed don't think the metaverse promise is worth much at all. IGN doesn't have access to the survey answers. They're the ones that reported these stats. But GDC and game developer did publish a handful of comments submitted by respondents that can shed some light. In particular, the question, what does the metaverse need to become sustainable, included a lengthy response from one survey taker that, per GDC, seemed to represent the voices of a significant majority of respondents. The response focused on the metaverse as a VR experience, noting that VR environments were currently missing levels of interactivity, affordability, control standardization, and hardware quality necessary to make the metaverse a reality.
Yeah, really good.
It is really good. The respondent also pointed out that even with all that, there still wasn't a clear definition of what the metaverse was supposed to be. They go on to say the metaverse promise, as it stands, is nothing, they wrote. The people trying to sell it have no idea what it is, and neither do the consumers. Remember what happened and keeps happening with cloud gaming a decade ago? Other respondents comments noted that the metaverse already existed effectively, and companies just kept rebranding it. And one comment suggested it simply shouldn't exist at all. The metaverse has been discussed a great deal. Certainly, plenty of money has flowed in to make it happen in recent years. Companies like Meta have also lost a lot of money as their bets have failed to pay off, leading even industry leaders to question whether it's worth the cost or not. Alongside the metaverse question, the survey also asked developers in other interests in technology, such as blockchain. How many? Okay, here we go. We're in round two. How many? What do you think is the percentage of developers who said they were? Is a two-parter. What was the percentage of developers that said that they weren't interested at all? And what do you think is the percentage that were outright opposed to it? Dev, you go.
This is going to be higher than 50%. I think this is like 75%.
Okay, for the
blockchain.
For not being interested or opposing it.
I guess for not being interested.
Okay.
Would be, yeah, I think that's going to be like 75.
Okay, and then opposing.
Opposing, I think it's going to be. I don't know. I think together combined, they're like it's like 80% of the vote.
Well, sure, but you got to keep in mind. Oh yeah. Forrest, what do you think?
It's not interested in blockchain or
Yeah.
NFT.
The blockchain.
It's blockchain specifically.
Yes.
I'm gonna actually say it's low. I'm gonna say like 12% aren't interested, and then like, what was the and just don't want anything to do with it. I'll say probably like a quarter, so like 25.
All right. Well, Dev is winning again. He actually hit the nail right on the head with the first number. 75% of respondents said they weren't interested at all. 56% were outright opposed to the use of blockchain in video game development.
Oh, in video game development, I thought you just meant in general.
Oh no, video games.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, okay.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like regular blockchain, good.
Additionally, developers were asked about the workplace culture and policies. 16% said that their companies had facilitated changes to healthcare policies related to reproductive care in the last year, in a question that was asked in response to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And 9% said their companies had improved their trans-inclusive healthcare policies. Working hours has always been a big topic in these surveys. In this year's survey, 29% of respondents said that they worked an average of 36 to 40 hours a week. 33% worked less on average, while 38% worked more. But when asked about maximum hours per week they had worked in a single week, 46% said they had worked over 50, and 16% had worked over 70 in a single week. It's crunch. It's basically crunch. It's like, oh, okay, we're working on a game, we're doing full-time hours, and then a month before launch, or whatever, 2 months, 70-hour work weeks. Among reasons cited were self-pressure, 74%, management pressure, 14%, and peer pressure, 11%, while 36% said they didn't feel that they worked excessively. 54% of respondents did not report ever working more than 50 hours in a single week. All right, let's hop back over to the chat. And let's see what we got going on here. Anthony Manzano's here. Hi, guys. Hey, what's going on, Anthony? How you doing tonight? I remember Anthony from the big WWE sale live stream. Jamie the Comic also says, there are better ways to voice opinions, and death threats shouldn't be one of those. There's only one way a metaverse NFT would work in a video game setting, and that is creating a unique character profile that follows you through every game and platform.
That is a metaverse.
Anthony was playing along with us. He guessed 45%, so he was pretty close on that as well. So I mean, for me, like I hear what Jamie's saying here. I think that my biggest issue with that is that it's easily corruptible by game publishers. So I don't support it at all.
What do you mean by that?
So like Jamie's saying, creating a unique character profile that follows you through every game and platform. I just feel like I don't trust game publishers to not monetize that in a way that doesn't benefit players.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's
I could be like, hey, do you want to import your character from the metaverse to the next game? Well, that's going to be $20, and I'm like, no, fuck that.
So the reason I disagree is simply Roblox is I'm going to use Roblox as an example because I think that's probably the closest we have to a metaverse at the moment. Like I know Riot is also pretty close, but I think Roblox does it really well where you create a character and then you just play apps with that character. So if you want to go to a cafe and drink tea with your friends, you do that. If you want to play tag with your friends, you can do that. If you want to play a shooter with your friends, you can go to another app with that character and do that. And your outfits follow you, and you're still that same character doing a bunch of things.
So that's fine. But what does that have to do with blockchain? Is that how it's being done?
No, so where the blockchain comes in is you put in now when you go to buy tea with your friends, you're putting in real money. So you have a virtual wallet essentially.
I don't like that.
And
wait. I'm buying digital tea.
Hell yeah.
If that's what you're into, you know.
So Forrest, we were actually hanging out before we went live here. Dev obviously is sitting right next to me, and I was watching some TikToks while we were watching the football game. And there was this guy on TikTok. He spent $3,000 worth of Dogecoin to buy a virtual living space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he spent $3,000 on a virtual living space.
I mean, yeah.
Like that is just so. That's not okay. I'm sorry. Like
you could just log out.
Yeah, touch grass. Like at that point, like touch grass, please.
That's that is a big touch grass energy moment.
Huge touch grass, and I'm not a touch grass kind of guy.
But no, that's definitely on the more extreme side. That's
but it's things like that are easily exploited.
So the reason I say it's not exploitable. Go ahead.
So Jamie says that they have to bounce. It was fun finally being able to watch one of these live. Thanks for the entertainment and chat. Have fun, Jamie. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for being here, Jamie.
Yeah, come back and check out the rest of the pod, even if you can't catch it live. You know, it will be here on the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Jamie's awesome. Anyways, Dev, you were saying.
Oh, so the reason I say it's not as exploitable as you may think is because of if it gets better, hopefully, competition. That's it. Whereas one company will say if you want to bring your avatar in, you got to pay $20. Right now, all that stuff on Meta is free, but it's not good right now. But if they can continue making partnerships with other companies, it'll be more of you don't have to pay to bring your character in. But if you come in, maybe you want to buy a jacket, a virtual jacket for your avatar, or you get a VIP pin.
okay. So okay, all right. So
you want it to be free.
Let me jump in here. I don't need a blockchain for that. That is just pick an in-game currency and convert it whatever. I'll use if I want the really cool jacket, I'd rather spend real money.
Yeah.
Because this is like
I think the blockchain
is just essentially a giant receipt. Right? If my understanding of a blockchain is correct, it's just a giant receipt of just everything you do with crypto. Sure, for it to have access to it, so you could spend Dogecoin to buy your virtual house, which is stupid. But I mean, realistically, what difference is that than you buying a house in a pay-to-win video game? Where you had to buy the aesthetics of that special, like it's a special DLC. Okay, wait, no, let's simplify this. Let's use a real life example. Monster Hunter Rise, they have purchasable DLC for your weapons. You can put a skin on your weapons, layered armor. It has no effect on the game bearing whatsoever. It's purely aesthetic. Let's just say the house is purely aesthetic as well. If having access to a blockchain is fine, but forcing me to use a blockchain to do currency in there? I don't like that. Also, piggybacking off of that, the blockchain, like, why can't I just directly purchase their currency and use in-game? Because that's essentially what it's doing with the blockchain anyway. It's recorded on the blockchain that you wasted your Dogecoin on a virtual sword skin. Like, okay, so or I could just use my PayPal and get the same virtual skin. I don't see why it would be a blockchain.
I also don't like the blockchain, but the reason I think it could help is in instances where if we look at Riot Games, let's say you buy V-Bucks for Fortnite and you don't spend it all, you have some left, and you want to spend that maybe in League of Legends. So it's kind of like a universal currency that.
Okay, so now that's different.
No,
Okay.
so that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. You can use V-Bucks on League of Legends. It's a
But that medals already existed. It's kind of like in the past where like you used to be able to buy Microsoft points or PlayStation points or Wii points.
Yeah.
It's to say that concept exists, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that concept.
Yeah.
But again, I think my thing for me is with a lot of the technology and stuff, I understand that there could be an upside to it, but I think it is so easily corruptible, and there's so many ways you could just screw the customer over that it's not worth doing. In my opinion,
you could say that about anything though. The thing about the metaverse is it's going to happen. Maybe it's one of those things where it's kind of inevitable. It's going to happen. Like it's just.
Yeah. It's a giant receipt. Yep.
Yeah.
we've discussed this in the past, Jeff, where it's like for me, creating digital scarcity and selling it, I don't think that that's okay. I don't think that's okay. You can infinitely create a digital thing, as we've talked about it before, but since Devin Age and Forrest are here, like for example, I could pick a rare game. I'm just grabbing one. GameCube, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube. They are not making this anymore. This game has a value on the market, and it is worth a set amount of money. I'm not sure what it's worth right now, but it has a value, and this value is going to be dictated by the market itself. Sure, but I can't go and sell this. Like, you're creating digital scarcity. This game has scarcity because it's 20 plus years old. Like, for a digital, huh? Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying you could justify selling something like this. You can justify selling it, and you could justify the price fluctuating up or down depending on how many copies are being sold, things like that. When you're talking about a digital thing, for example, let's say I went and bought Fire Emblem Engage on a digital. That's $60. That is the base game, and apart from it maybe going down due to age, like this should never digitally go up in price. Yeah, no, yeah, I know, I understand. I hear the argument.
It's also like what Jess was saying. That's a very specific case where, like, digital real estate is very weird right now, and I do agree with Rome.
That's even more Wild West than coins.
Yeah, so like that's like very niche, and like that the example of that it's like someone who buys a game and has to get every outfit, or the whales. I think they call
The
them,
whales,
right?
they call them whales, yes.
Gotcha, whale.
So like we wouldn't. I don't think either of us, anybody in this group, is going to have an issue with that. That's more the extreme side. I think the other stuff that, like the way Jeff said, it's security that you're buying. It's so that you can't get screwed over from a company. All those the exploits that you're worried about won't happen because of that. And it's tricky right now because not a lot of people know what it is or how to use it or how it can be implemented into the metaverse or other games. It's just
Yeah,
really
I mean, if they're gonna okay, so the blockchain. Also, like, how are they going to use the blockchain? It's kind of, let's go back to the original topic. Um, also, your game is essentially an investment, and all this is actually just investments. All this is just boils down to is they are stocks. Somebody uses digital coins, you're using physical video game discs.
Absolutely, I understand that.
You know, and that's what that boils down to. But that's aside. I want to know how they're going to implement the blockchain in game development.
Yeah.
That's what I don't think. I can't. In my brain, cannot put together where that's going to go, or how that's going to be used. So what? It's a receipt. So let's just assume, based on producer Jeff's description of a blockchain, they're going to have a blockchain that shows the production, so that like this glitch showed up here, so then they had to go back here, now it's back here, so there's just going to be record of everything that went through the production cycle. That just sounds like more work for them.
Yeah, it doesn't sound worth it.
Yeah.
Can you kind of elaborate with the blockchain, because I think you're pretty well educated, you know what this stuff is.
So when a blockchain, when somebody purchases a Bitcoin, that purchase is logged in the ledger. Who purchased it and who sold it is logged in there, right? Now, it doesn't log your name. It only logs your address to your wallet. So they don't know like the exact person, but they know the wallet that it came from and the wallet that it went to. It's impossible for somebody to jump in the middle and steal it in the middle of the transaction. It's impossible to get into someone's wallet without having them give you access to it. You know what I mean? That's why there's all these crypto scams on all these live videos you see. They have to get access somehow. So essentially what I'm saying about the blockchain here would be more for items in game. So the moment you purchase an in-game item, there's going to be a log of you buying that item, when you bought it, and what you paid for it. And then when you go to sell that item in the future, it's going to have for you listing what you paid for it and what you sold for it. So you can actually have a tracker for yourself of, how much percentage you made on, profit there.
See, that's where I haven't.
I don't like that.
Well, let me give you guys an
Okay.
example that has existed for almost 15 years now.
RuneScape?
Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike.
Skins.
They have literally been doing, I can't tell you if it's been on a blockchain, but they do exactly what the idea of the blockchain is. You buy items and you can resell them for higher than you bought them for.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I think FIFA had something like that too.
So I understand that. My thing is, and then that's where it comes in, where I like that for me is absolute like the worst thing. And I know that Jeff and I have discussed it, but like again, I think selling digital content, reselling of digital content is absurd to me.
Well,
Like,
okay.
It's definitely a new concept.
It's a
So I
simple
got
copying
two examples.
it or like getting a key for it. You know what I mean?
It's-
I can't get behind digital reselling.
I think so. We were talking about where it fits in games. I think right now the best place for that kind of stuff is MMOs. If you imagine a game like
No.
World of Warcraft, where you can farm, or you spend a lot of time building this weapon. You had to be a certain level.
Sure.
You had to get the items and everything. You built this gun or this sword or whatever, and now you can resell it. You can it's one of those things where the game gives you all the materials. The players have to make it, and then the players sell. RuneScape had like a whole marketplace.
Well, so here's my thing. I'm talking more so because Jeff and I have discussed it about real life currency in reselling of digital items. I don't have an issue with say like RuneScape because I played RuneScape a lot too. I'm okay with going. I remember going to the stock exchange or the market and just having millions of people selling mithril armor. I remember that. That's fine. But what I'm saying is,
real money gets
it's when real money gets involved. I think that it's like, for example, I would I think it would be super crazy and super shitty to, for example, in RuneScape, if somebody said it was like saying like selling mithril armor for 30,000 gold. Okay, well that's in-game item for in-game currency. That isn't like I don't. At least they've changed in the recent years. I don't know, but back then that in-game currency was found in-game, and you did not use real money to acquire that. I think that that's fine. I think that that's an in-game economy, and I think that's perfectly cool. But what I'm saying is, and Jeff is, I'm more so going off. Jeff and I have had a previous conversation in the past where, like, say you buy a skin and then years down the line you don't play the game anymore, you want to sell it back. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's the way that digital content should work.
Okay.
I think it's something that again, it's all scarcity. Like that's like how are you dictating a price of a digital item? It just doesn't seem feasible.
I guess you
or
have like limited edition skins and stuff like that. It is,
but I don't like that because it's all digital. How can you have a limited edition skin and then turn around and sell it for money when it's a forced scarcity? Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube has a scarcity problem, but that's because the GameCube came out 25 years ago and it's discontinued.
Yeah.
It is a physical thing. They stopped printing. Whereas again, we're gonna go with RuneScape. A set of Mithril armor can be crafted, can be made, or even let's say you had to buy it in game. I just don't think you should be able to go onto a marketplace and sell it for real currency.
Also,
I think
you have to worry about like what was the big? It was a meme. It was this isn't my point, but the turnip market in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was, and like people would crash the turnip market on Tuesdays or something. Like that was the big thing.
Yep.
Like now imagine doing that with actual real money, human dollar, digital money coins. That sounds horrible.
If I use Jerome's example, mithril armor is it's different than a skin. Whereas like I think skins fit, cosmetic stuff fit very differently, and they kind of fit in this path where you buy it if you want it. If you don't want it, you don't buy it, kind of thing. Whereas like gameplay, if it was it buy play to win, that kind of stuff is different. I agree that armor
come pay to win.
Yeah, stuff like that though should not be included into a game.
I agree.
If you want Nikes for your your meta character, and there's Nike did a limited run on these Yeezys for there's 200 you can get, and you have to rebuy it. That's up to you. That's your money. That's your cosmetic character.
I don't like that. That just seems really, because again, it stems from my issue of the limited Yeezys or whatever being it's digital scarcity, and then someone making a profit off of digital scarcity.
Yeah.
The concept of digital scarcity is completely bananas to me.
I get it. I get why.
Again, it's just not feasible. I don't think it's right.
Let me throw one
point though, where it's like, okay, well, it's my money. Let me spend it how I want. All right, but I look at it as the games industry as a whole and just how these games work, and I just don't think it has a healthy place in game.
Yeah.
Let me throw one thing at you real quick. So we've talked about this before, and Fortnite was my big example with my skins. Mm-hmm. I have a Fortnite account that I haven't played in probably a year at least, and if I could sell it, I could probably make a lot of money back on some of the skins that you really can't get anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So would you have a problem if I was able to sell my skins for Fortnite points, whatever they call them now?
So you're saying trade your skins back for in-game currency?
Yes, but I would like to be able to set the price myself for someone else to buy it, but for in-game currency, yes.
So no, because again, that goes back to the question of how can you set a price for something that doesn't, how can you set a real world value for something that just doesn't exist?
But it does exist. I have the skin. I'm using it. I can hand it to you, and you can use it. It does exist.
Into, economics of supply.
See, you're trying to get into semantics of saying that like things on the internet don't really exist, and that's like getting into the Matrix shit. It exists. It's a physical. It's not a physical thing, but it's something that I can buy. I can spend my money on, and I can use, and I can see it.
The older we get, the realer it becomes.
I understand it. I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't.
I see where your arguments come from now.
Again, my thing comes from the fact that it's who's setting that market, because again, you look at, for example, like a physical thing where it's like, okay, well, this is what people are selling it for, so we're like the market's going to kind of go around.
So it's the same with like Pokemon cards. Why does the cards?
Same with the cards.
It's because there's a limited amount. Someone sets up high, someone sets a low. You kind of meet in the middle eventually, based on how many people want that Pokemon card.
Same thing with house services.
If I'm trying to be crazy and sell my skin for $1,000, nobody's gonna buy it. I got to be fair and maybe a couple bucks more than I bought it.
Now if Jeff sells an entire account for $1,000,
Yeah,
That's
look,
different.
I understand it. I'm just
I get why you don't
but-
like it.
me sitting at it. It just again, it seems like
We're getting older.
I don't think that's
It is.
no. It's not them getting.
We're all getting
Hey,
older. We don't like it.
Before we beat this
Yeah.
topic to death, I really like Anthony's question in chat here. He says he's a big fan of the Call of Duty game series and the Halo game series. Do you think that either of those are conducive for a theme park like Universal?
No.
My answer is hell yeah for Call of Duty, man. Give me a bunch of laser tag type stuff and paintball games. Bring it.
Yeah, Halo too. Absolutely Halo.
Can you imagine?
You went
Yeah.
to David Buster's last week. We were
They-
playing that game. It was
Yeah.
great.
No. I think they could be, but they're never gonna happen.
I mean, that's debatable. I don't think it'll happen, but yeah, both of those would be really cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then see that's the thing. You could use your IP in other ways to make money. Like again, like I think a lot of the games industry, not all of it, but a lot of it is a nickel and diming of your customers. You could do cool shit like that and make
Yeah,
a lot of money. Look at what Nintendo's doing.
I get that.
Look at Nintendo. They just came out with Mario World here or over in, or down in Orlando.
People don't leave their house anymore. Everything's digital. Why don't you don't like that the malls are empty when we go to them? It's
No,
just
it bums me out.
yeah, it bums you out. It's these things are moving digital spaces, and now with VR and like it's so much easier. VR chat is like it's amazing. It's really fun. It's
See, again, I think my issue is I don't have a problem with the technology existing. Like, I think that if I were to get a VR thing, I would love to try like VR chat and stuff out.
Yeah,
And like having that VR space, I don't have an issue with it itself. I just look at it, and again, this is just me. It's how I look at. I love video games, but I also look at the industry. I just don't know if there is a financially fair and feasible way. I don't know if I'm wording that right. To have these things exist fairly in the game space. That's my thing.
I think that's the issue.
I don't like for it to be possibly easily corruptible. I understand the point on the argument with the reselling of digital goods. I just personally still can't get behind reselling digital goods for real money. I could understand a system where you're reselling a digital good for digital currency, but not real life affected currency. No, I personally don't get.
They're becoming the one and the same. When
Not
you
necessarily because
no when you the
Yeah,
closer
they
we get
kinda
to
are though.
the closer we get to a metaverse, the closer we get to those things being the same.
yeah.
the same.
I have a credit card that literally uses Dogecoin or Bitcoin. I can go to the store and use my Dogecoin right now.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
oh, let me rephrase it. I'm not saying digital currency as like Dogecoin or something like that. I'm saying in a video game currency.
So
That's what I'm saying.
So what I'm
We're
saying is-
using Fortnite as an example.
yeah.
If Fortnite has a currency that cannot be affected by real life currency, then yeah, I think you could resell that for an in-game amount of item. Like I think that's fair. You're trading a digital for another digital. But I think when you bring in a real life currency to a digital space, I understand that they're kind of coming together. I get that. But for me, that's where it gets really gray, and I don't feel super cool with it.
I get it. I think it's more of a. I think we just need to see more of it, and we need to see it working.
Well, like for example, like I think it would be interesting to have a system like, and this is the same system, just not using real life money. Like, let's say Jeff wants to unload some of those digital skins. Maybe there's newer skins. You know what I mean? Or maybe there's some sort of in-game cosmetic that he really wants. And like maybe they say where it's like, okay, well this player has this, and do a trade. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. Again, I don't want to see games get compromised to turn into something that kind of gets away from the purpose of the games.
Yeah.
Which is nickel and diming customers, ripping people off financially. I'm always going to advocate against that.
Quick update. 49ers have defeated the Dallas Cowboys and will be coming here to Philadelphia for the NFC Championship game.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go. What was the score?
Let's go Birds.
What was the score?
19-12.
12 points. I thought the Cowboys were them boys.
You saw that?
It's one touchdown and 2 field goals.
I can't wait to go on Reddit after this. What was it? A touchdown and 3 and a field goal?
Touchdown and 2. They missed the extra point. It was blocked.
Yeah, that was great. That guy's out of a job. He's done.
Oh, Brad, he'll be gone.
Anyways,
I see your concerns. It's one of those things where unfortunately, in-game currency and real-life money are becoming one and the same.
Sure.
When you have that, you have to have security.
Scary.
Yeah.
sure.
I don't like that. Also,
mean,
like
You don't have to buy into it too. That's the thing. You're not forced into it. So it's.
I guess so.
So-
I don't know.
there's a whole nother issue with all this that's just kind of just with digital currency currently. There's like ways to like make fake coins and then pump them and dump them and like all this stuff, and then you throw in like getting stuff from video games with that and metaverse stuff, and you're using it gets extremely complicated and messy. And I would just say keep them somewhat separate. Don't be integrating them. There's just because two things exist does not mean we need to fusion dance everything
Well, that
together.
gets harder to do when you start having a universal currency. You know what I mean? It's harder to scam
Maybe
people.
the toaster was as far as humanity was supposed to go. I don't know, but like
It's like if you went to a Starbucks somewhere and they're charging you $30 for coffee, they can't do that because you can just go to another coffee place and get a $5 coffee with your same American, U.S. dollar. And so it's having that universal coin. It makes it less harder to scam for someone to come in and try to pump and dump and all that stuff.
gosh.
Real
So we're
quick
gonna
before-
get the
Sorry,
only so what we're saying is the only way to get fair wages is to go into the digital landscape and make our own businesses.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start working digital jobs.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna open a digital Starbucks to serve your avatars one Dogecoin lattes.
Hell yeah.
Like,
We're gonna
we should move on.
Well, we're gonna jump into the chat real quick before we move on. Anthony Manzano asked us to read his last comment, which we did, Anthony. We talked about the Halo world and Call of Duty worlds. I think using the IPs to create theme parks would be a really cool idea. I think we generally all agreed with that.
Yeah.
That would be really awesome.
Yeah.
The day trading Doge is back and says, "Did someone mention Doge?" He's a few minutes late.
I would love to go to like Halo World or something.
That would be so
It would
cool.
be so fun.
Like you get one of the rides, you're actually riding around in the vehicles and stuff.
And a
like,
warthog. Oh,
Walking around.
Yeah. Someone comes up behind you, just murders you in the park. That'd be
Yeah,
great. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. Let's move on though. All right. Back to more bad news. Riot Games have laid off 46 employees as waves of games industry job cuts continue. League of Legends developer confirmed to journalist Jacob Wolf that it had eliminated the positions, which were largely concentrated in the company's talent acquisition, recruiting, and publishing departments, as well as a few roles in esports and support. Riot roughly employs around 4,500 people globally. This wasn't the first news that broke, but obviously this was a smaller story, so we're going to talk about the bigger first layoff story in a little bit. It just continues to suck to see people laid off.
Yeah. Yeah, like they said, it's a wave of it right now. A lot of companies are laying off a lot of people.
Yeah.
probably because they keep canceling games.
I mean, I don't think it's just that. I think it also goes along with
I think Microsoft recently let off like a huge amount of people.
So,
Not
yeah.
even just in the gaming, just like all around.
Yeah.
It's,
which we're going to get into. But Google also this past week, it's not really gaming related, but they laid off 12,000 employees.
yeah.
You're just kind of seeing it in the tech world right now. I think a lot of these companies tried to expand a bunch during the pandemic, and now they're trying
Catching
to.
up to them.
They're just. Well, I don't want to say catching up to them because all these companies are still turning billions of dollars worth of profits.
Yeah, that is.
Most companies these days, when they lay people off, they're not losing. They're just trying to trim. They're trying to trim expenses.
So that CEO can get a bigger cut.
Yep, that's the idea. All right. But we're gonna keep moving along. I just wanted to kind of touch on that real quick. It's kind of a setup for our topic of the show. But before that, Respawn, their Star Wars game might include multiplayer. This is from Insider Gaming. A new job posting suggests that an upcoming Respawn Star Wars game could feature multiplayer. The studio behind Titanfall, Apex Legends, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is currently working on a Star Wars first-person shooter title. With development ramping up on the game, it makes sense that job postings are going to start appearing. The specific post, which is for a senior game software engineer, states that it's for the studio's Star Wars FPS team. While it's nothing out of the ordinary for a developer posting, the one thing that stands out is under desired qualifications. It specifically states that the new employee has experience on working on a multiplayer game. I'm really excited for this Star Wars Respawn game. I think I think back to Star Wars FPSs, and I think of the Jedi Knight games back on like the GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era. Really fun games. I'm really looking forward to it. And multiplayer would be better.
Yeah.
Battlefront. I mean, Battlefront 2 could have been so good, but they just microtransaction did their way into making the game.
It ended up being really good once they took.
The campaign was fun.
No, but I mean, like later on, they got rid of that stuff and made the multiplayer playable because it was a play to win kind of thing.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I'm very optimistic about this game. I think it's gonna be really good. Hoping it's really good. All right. This one might end up being a topic in and of itself, but it's not the main topic of the show. So this happened, I believe, last night, late last night even. We got a press release from Crystal Dynamic, who made the Marvel's Avengers game, and it's titled "The Final Update on the Future of Marvel's Avengers." They go on to say, to our amazing community, after 2.5 years of introducing 12 of Earth's mightiest heroes, following update 2.8 on March 31st, 2023, we will no longer be adding new content or features to Marvel's Avengers. All official support for the game will end on September 30th, 2023. Even after our official support ceases on September 30th, both single and multiplayer gameplay will continue to be available. See below for more information. Update 2.7, which added the Winter Soldier hero and Cloning Lab Omega level threat, is the last new content to be added to the game. No new cosmetics are coming to the marketplace, and all final balance updates will occur in Update 2.8 in March. Along with the end of development, we're also turning off the cosmetics marketplace. When Update 2.8 launches on March 31st, credits will no longer be purchasable, and all remaining credit balances will be converted into in-game resources to aid ongoing adventures. Here is a table below, resources that will be granted based on existing credit balances. They also go on to say that as a show of their appreciation to the community, starting March 31st, they will make all the game's marketplace, challenge card, and shipment cosmetic content available to all players for free. Every single outfit, takedown, emote, and nameplate from the marketplace, challenge cards, and shipments will be free for all players from this date onwards if you own a copy of the game. They know this is disappointing news for everyone in their community, as such a connection to these characters and their stories. We're so grateful that you came on this adventure with us. Your excitement for Marvel's Avengers, from the epic photo mode shots to your threads theorizing who our next heroes would be, to your Twitch streams, has played a large part in bringing this game to life. We hope you continue to play and enjoy Marvel's Avengers. Can't thank you enough for the support and being part of our super team, Marvel's Avengers development team. This game, man. And we're going to disagree. That's fine. When this game came out, I was so excited for it. Crystal Dynamics, an excellent developer. They made the Tomb Raider reboot games, which I absolutely love. And like an Avengers game, I was like, hell yeah. And the gameplay looked really promising. I got the game at launch, and like many others, kind of like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And like the first 8 hours tells a pretty good story with, really cool set pieces, gameplay loop, wasn't too bad. Kind of a beat 'em up kind of game, but each character had their own different little mechanics and stuff like that. And then you get past that 8 hours. You get past what you like. I'm playing it, and I'm feeling like, oh wow, this game isn't that long. It's like I'm like 6 hours in, and I feel like we're getting ready to wrap up and resolve the game. You know what I mean? And then you hit this point, and it's like, all right, now the real game begins, and what takes its place is a dull, lackluster, very grindy, marketplace-filled live service game. The live service part is bad, yes. I've played the game. I can tell you that it was a good game when it tried to be just a straight up game. When it tried to be a straight up action adventure game, it was a very good game. And then it just completely forgoes all that. It gives all that up, and it just becomes terrible. As we've talked, on the podcast, I try to complete games. This was a game I did not complete. This was a game that I hit the credits on, and I was like, I tried. I was like, oh, maybe I'll grind out the achievements and stuff, and it was terrible. It was awful. It was just Like for me, Marvel's Avengers will always be the shining example of why I would like to not see as many live service games. Because the concept, not even the concept, the execution in that first 8 hours was very enjoyable. The story was what was pretty well written. The game went to different places. The characters had their own stories. There was a plot going. There was a plot twist that happens. Like the game was good, and I was enjoying it. And then it gets to a point where it's like it just gets rid of all of that, and it's just the husk of the gameplay. It's an empty corpse of the gameplay. It's like, all right, now go do this on loop for hours and hours and hours to complete your weekly challenges so you can do this. And again, it wasn't very good. It could have been a game that was a 20-hour campaign, and it could have been remembered much differently. It would have been remembered much differently.
If they had made a better game, it'd be remembered much.
If they didn't go the live service model, it would have been a much better.
999 credits, you'll get 166,000 units,
Who does?
16,600 fragments,
Sorry, I was saying they sure like the number 666 for those credit balances. There's the number 666 is everywhere. It's crazy.
It's almost like live service games are the devil.
I mean, you have photographic evidence of it being the devil.
Yeah. So here, producer Jeff, please show the devil chart, please, for the live.
Oh, it was
service.
up. It was up for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
If it was a better game, it wouldn't be the last update. That's all I'm saying. If it was a better game, it wouldn't be the last update.
But at the end of the day, okay, so I believe, I wasn't looking at the live stream. So producer Jeff was showing gameplay. The game was good. It was a good game. But the problem is, what it became was not good. The live service elements killed that game. Like I'm telling you, man. I played that game, and for 8 hours, I was enjoying it. The game could have went another 8 hours, and I still would have said, "Oh, that was a good game. I really enjoyed that." Let me go back and mop up the achievements, and I'll put an extra 4 or 5 hours completing the game, and it ends up being like a 30-ish hour game, toward like in the 2030s. I think that's great. But instead, they wanted to do the live service route. They took the part that they made, and then they just added a bunch of unnecessary stuff to it. There was no substance after that 8 hours.
A bunch of unnecessary stuff. They didn't add stuff that enhanced the game. Like we were just talking about. When you add stuff to a game, it has to enhance the game.
Sure.
Warframe is a great game. It adds to the game. It's a free-to-play game. It's just one of this. You have to add to the game. You can't add meaningless things to the game and expect it to be good. Expect players to come back just because you added stuff to it. Just because we had an 8-hour great story that we told in the first half, you need to enhance the game. It's why Monster Hunter is so successful. It's why all these games, Grand Theft Auto is very successful. It adds everything they add. It adds to the game. You can't add meaningless stuff to the game. On top of that, it's just you also can't add stuff to the game while it's still buggy. You got to fix the game first before it's just a lot of don't make a bad game. Dump a bunch of extra stuff in it and expect people to play it and like it.
But the problem was, and this is what goes into my argument with Suicide Squad. Some games should not be live service games. Can you agree with that?
Bad games should not be live service.
No. Some games, regardless of quality.
No.
What's wrong?
If you make a game good enough, and if you make a game good enough that it fits the live service model, it works.
We're back.
It works. No. But if you make a game where, okay, here's my vision for the game. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a game. I'm going to add stuff to it. I'm going to make it worth the player's time to invest into it. If they're going to grind, Destiny 2 is grinding, but it's a great game. It's good mechanics. You can't just add a few skins and
Avengers had good mechanics. The game played well. Nobody really talked about the negative gameplay. It was stretched out. It was stretched out after that. Again, if you go back and look at reviews, for when people are talking specifically about that first stretch, generally speaking, maybe I'm just not remembering correctly, but I don't remember critics being super negative about that initial stretch. The problem with the game comes after that initial stretch, when it's like, okay, the 8 hours really kind of more so serves as a tutorial. It's very clear once you get into the live service part that 8 hours is meant to set up your 150 hours or whatever on the live service game. Like that was the point of the 8 hours once you get through it.
Same thing with Destiny. They have a big
Again, I'm not going to jump on Destiny, but I played Marvel's Avengers. I can tell you that the 8 hours was enjoyable. Was it like Game of the Year quality? I don't know if I would go that far, but I thought it was a very enjoyable game. And then once they took they took that and they were like, okay, let's take the story out. Let's take all of like what made the game fun in terms of like going to different places. It's like, all right, well, now you've been to like the 6 or 7 different places. Why don't you go back to those places and just do the same thing over and over and over again?
Yeah, that's bad game development. That's a bad game.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the game became bad because they took a game and they stretched it to fit the live service model. The live service model is what makes it a bad game.
No,
That's my problem.
You said 2 different things. You said they took a good game and stretched it to make it live service. That is bad game development. That's a bad game.
Right, it's a bad game because of the live service part.
It's
If you want to take the live service part, you throw it in the trash and you have that 8-hour experience. Now you could argue 8 hours is too short. I'm not arguing that. My point is, if you take that 8 hours of game and you take that and that's the game, the biggest critique of that game is it's only 8 hours long.
Okay, that's fair.
And that's a fair critique.
Yeah.
But the game itself, in that 8 hours, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It shows the gameplay mechanics while telling a fun comic book story with heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, sure, is the plot kind of predictable? I mean, yeah, it's a comic book story. Like, whatever. Like, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's a fun story which has some really cool set pieces, going from the Golden Gate Bridge collapsing to, you know, other areas. Like there's a good game there in that 8 hours. Maybe not great, maybe not excellent, but my point is, the second that they took that 8-hour game, or they took that gameplay and that story, and they were like, all right, we're going to take this and we're going to stretch it to fit something that it shouldn't be,
it became bad.
It became bad.
And I agree with you 100%.
Right, 100%.
But this is why every time we have this conversation, you always bring up Avengers, Marvel's Avengers, and Anthem.
Because Marvel's Avengers is, for me, the most glaring example of it. It's the most
of a bad game. It's one of those things where, again, you bring up Marvel's Avengers and you bring up Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
You bring up 2 bad games and say live service is bad.
For certain genres, yes.
You have to make the game. If you're going to do a live service, make the game fit a live service. Again, Genshin Impact. It's a game built for live service. It's a single player game. It's a single player adventure game built for live service, and it kills.
It also has multiplayer aspects. Like you and your homies can party up to 4.
If you make a game, you can't stuff your foot into. You can't stuff your your shoes.
In Devroro's defense, the Avengers was a bad game. Once after that 8-hour mark.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying.
So what, like I'm saying, Jerome's saying he didn't like the game because the first 8 hours were great. It was a good game, and then they stretched it to make it into a live service game.
Right.
When you do that, you make the game bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the game wasn't built for that.
Right.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. If you build a game, if Suicide Squad is built to survive a live service model where you get, new missions where, you come in and, come and play next week and defeat this many villains or, whatever. It can work.
My argument is that I don't know if those types of games can fit the live service model, though. I don't think they can. I don't think that they have it, because what you see in Avengers is what that type of game can create in the live service space.
So
that's my take.
They're a bad example of it.
Warframe and Grand Theft Auto, those are games you can play by yourself or with 4 friends. It's a great game, but it's just we already have that. We have those single player.
But again, going back to it, and no, hold on, GTA Online is not single player.
But you can, and it's story driven as well. Like you play a story, and then there's grinding stuff in between.
The whole point of GTA Online is you get to run around with your friends and cause chaos. That's the whole point.
But
and that works, and that's fine.
But I'm not saying they give you every few 6 months or a year or whatever that you can just play, and it's story driven content.
Right, but my point is that that's fine, and like I said earlier, because I wanted to kind of sharpen my point. Games as a service is not bad. Live service games as a whole are not bad, but I'm saying that they can take good games and ruin them. And that's why game genres that I like, such as an action adventure genre, such as these comic book games, if the Avengers had just been a little bit longer and not done the live service route, while yes, the game was generally disliked strongly to the point that they're canceling this live service game, as most of these unsuccessful live service games do get canceled. It just,
when they made that game, they were chasing a trend. They took
absolutely.
They took an 8-hour great game and tried to fit a trend.
That's my point. We're not disagreeing, but we're arguing.
But that's what I'm saying. They did it really good. Like
It was good
You were in.
Guys, you're literally on the same side of the coin arguing.
because I'm looking at it from a section of the game.
But like even the
If
mechanics.
you ask me to review the game right now, if you ask me to give the game a score, I give it like a 4 out of 10.
And that's average. I think IGN give it a 6. Metacritic is a 6.7.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10.
Yes. It's one of those where it's just not a good game. It's not a game,
But
that
it's
can
not.
last.
But it's not good because of it tries to be something that it's not supposed to be.
It's literally why it's bad. That's literally why.
That's what I'm saying.
You just said it wasn't.
No, it's bad because it tried to be something it's not.
Yeah, and that's why it failed.
Right.
But it wasn't a good game.
But that's why I'm saying we should not just shoehorn the live service model into these games.
No, you shouldn't shoehorn it.
Okay, wait.
Make
I'm
it fit.
noticing a trend in the games that Rome is describing and a trend in the games that Dev is describing. The games you listed are RPGs with battle passes. The games Dev is listing do not actually have battle passes.
Right, and that's fine. And again, like I'm not arguing.
hold on.
Yeah.
Then you two start to argue because you start splitting hairs over the definition of a live service again. Even though technically, as long as it's online and it gets regular updates, it is automatically live service. That is the technical definition.
Sure.
Now, the battle pass of Avengers probably made Avengers worse. And it was, as you are trying to say, a good game until you got to the battle pass. Then it started to suck.
Hmm.
And I think Dev is saying the same thing, but also at the same time saying if the game was good and designed with a battle pass as in mind,
Yeah.
it would have been better.
Yeah.
Okay.
For
Okay.
example, Warframe, it has a battle pass thing. Call of Duty has a battle pass thing. These games have like monthly battle pass things, or not even monthly. You just buy it and you get stuff for a few
Live
months.
service is so common nowadays. It's pretty much if it's online, it's live service. If it gets regular updates, it's live service.
When you chase that trend, you're gonna fail.
But that's my point. That's what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you about all these games you're listing. You can keep listing live service games, and I'll tell you, oh yeah, that game, Call of Duty, makes sense to have a battle pass. I'm not spending the money on a battle pass,
Yeah.
but I understand the model and understand that it makes sense in that model. Having seasons with content in your seasons for a strictly multiplayer game, like I get it. And like for me, as long as the battle pass is something you can just play and get everything, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with a battle pass in that sense. But again, you like the point is.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
What is the point of a battle pass or a live service?
The point of a battle pass or a live service, when done successfully, is to continue to keep players coming back to play your game.
So you want to get players to come back to your game a lot, right? That's the point of it.
Yes.
If you make a bad game, no one's going to want to come back to it, and you're going to have to shut down. You're not
Sure.
making money off of it.
Right.
Make a better game. If you make a bad game, people aren't going to come and play your game and spend money on skins. They're not going to spend money on extra content or Black Panther or Spider-Man coming into the game.
Sure.
You make the game good, and people want to come back, and you just give them icing on the cake that you just served them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. These games are bad. Anthem is a bad game. Marvel's Avengers is a bad game. If they were better, they wouldn't be closing down.
Right. I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because for me, the reason it's a bad game isn't because the game itself. I think the gameplay is fun. I don't think it's bad. I think that in that 8-hour game that I played, I walked away from that. If I had put the controller down and just stopped playing the game straight up at that point, I would have been like, oh, if that was all there is to it, I was like, it was kind of short. I would say the length would hurt it a little bit, but I would say, yeah, I would maybe like a 7 or an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I think 7 or 8 is about the ballpark I would put that in. But like, it doesn't stop. It keeps going because it tries to be something that it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And that's
Also with that, it feels shoehorned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but we'll end this battle pass online service debate right now. You want to know who did a good battle pass? Oddly enough, Konami in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels. That thing is you want the special pass, you buy it with in-game currency. You want the good pass, you want the just play, you get bonuses just for playing. You show up every day, you get a bonus for showing up every day. You don't show up every day, it's fine. you get like 5 gems for showing up every day, and then 7 days in a row you get something bigger. Like that's nothing crazy.
Yeah, I don't think
They
anything
did a
about that.
great job, and then you just duel. You just duel. I mean, granted, they need to fix their online service because I'm tired of fighting bots that just waste the whole 30 minutes. But aside from that, they actually did it well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
All right. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this again at some point.
it's eternal.
It's an
Like a
eternal
live
struggle.
service.
It's a live
Live service games.
That's the funny thing about our friendship, Dev. I just feel like it's a live service game in and of itself.
Yeah.
Check back in every day. All right. Well, that's our topics or our news headlines for the show. Let's run through these game releases and then get to the main topic of the show. So game releases for the week of January 23rd through 28th. Forspoken comes out tomorrow, or not tomorrow, sorry, Tuesday for the PS5 and PC. Really worried about that. I'm sure we'll be talking about that next week. Risen comes out on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on Tuesday. World War Z comes out on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles on Tuesday. Devolver Tumble Time comes out on iOS and Android on January 26th.
Game of the year right there.
What was it?
Tumble Time, game of the year.
Game of the year. It's that Forrest. I think every week you should just Forrest pick game of the year like that. That's your pick this week. Hitman: World of Assassination, which I have no idea what this is actually. PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
So it's all 3 Hitman games into one.
Oh,
including,
okay.
DLC and everything. It's one big Hitman game.
Okay,
Ooh.
cool. That's a nice little package right there.
Mhm.
I like that. The Dead Space remake comes out on January 27th for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. For me, in terms of what I'm looking forward to this week, is definitely the Dead Space remake.
Yeah.
A lot of what I'm hearing is very positive.
Yeah.
As opposed to Forspoken, which I'm not hearing a lot of positive. I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, we're not hearing anything.
What about you? You think that is Dead Space kind of out of the games this week?
I have a lot of hope. For Forspoken, it just looks like a pretty game. It looks like something I'd be into, and it sucks I'm not even going to be able to play it. I'll have to watch some playthrough for it, but it looks good. But I have to go with Dead Space just because the remake looks good. I mean, I like new games over remakes. I'm gonna have to go with Forspoken. It's just a good week for gaming anyway. It is a good week.
All right. Well, so Forrest is locked in with Devolver Tumble Time.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
his pick. He's locked in.
Tumble
Producer Jeff, anything look good for you this week?
I'm actually watching some of this Forspoken we got going on here. This actually looks really good.
It does, and that's again, it's very weird because the game was kind of delayed because and a lot of people are kind of nervous about the writing and the presentation of the game in terms of like I believe the speaking dialogue seemed kind of weird for some people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For me, it honestly seems like this game's it's gonna chug.
Yeah.
On some
So producer Jeff, just to kind of educate you a little bit, I'm sure it's kind of common sense anyway, but usually when game developers don't send out review codes for games before the game comes out, it's usually a bad sign that the game isn't very good, whether it be broken or just bad. So it while Forspoken looks really promising, and I want to say it's kind of the game I'm looking forward to the most this week. The news, honestly, if you asked me a week ago, I would have chosen Forspoken over Dead Space. But there's got to be something going on there. TJ's here. He says looks good to him. Maybe it needs more time in the oven, but overall looks good. Yeah. Again, but there's got to be some reason why Square Enix isn't giving out review codes.
From everything I've seen of the game and how pretty it looks, even just looking at this roll that Jeff has up right now, like it looks great.
It does.
I think it's going to be performance issues. I don't think it's going to be writing or anything like that. It looks like it's going to be performance issues, but we'll have to see.
Maybe, I don't know. But that is the game releases for this week. Overall, a pretty big week for pretty much everyone. I mean, there's not really a big Nintendo release, but Fire Emblem just came out, so Nintendo fans will be fine. Let's talk about the topic of the show. So Microsoft this past week, they laid off 10,000 of their employees. The news originally broke earlier last week when IGN was able to confirm it. In a public message to staff, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said the decision was difficult but necessary, but is confident that Microsoft will emerge from this stronger and more competitive. It's unclear exactly which departments at the time of IGN's reporting were impacted by this, which I do have another update for another article. So I mean, they laid off 10,000 of their employees. Someone pointed out that really ironically enough, Activision Blizzard has about 10,000 employees. So that could be not an ulterior motive, but there could be some thought process there
I see what you're
where
saying.
they're getting ready to bring in 10,000 new employees. So,
Yeah.
I mean, layoffs suck, and they never don't suck.
It wasn't even just gaming though; it was just across the board. They
It was.
10,000.
However, we were able to get a little bit of an update on where a lot of these cuts came from. We found out via Jason Schreier. He said that in terms of the gaming sphere, while there was some layoffs at Bethesda, there were some layoffs at the Coalition. 343 Industries was said to have been hit pretty hard.
Sad to hear.
It is sad to hear. They also pointed out that Halo Infinite's head of creative, Joe Staten, is leaving 343 to rejoin the Xbox publishing wing of the gaming division. He was basically said that 343 was hit hard by the move specifically. Studio head Pierre Hintz sent out a memo saying we've made the difficult decision to restructure elements of our team, which means some roles are being eliminated. I'm trying to get us all caught up on the news because there was this kind of a multiple news angle articles. Let's see. Patrick Wren, former senior multiplayer designer for Halo Infinite, now working on Star Wars Jedi Survivor, did not mince his words. Basically, this comes from Polygon. It was some of the ex-Halo developers bashing the studio's leadership, calling them incompetent. He said the layoffs at 343 shouldn't have happened, and Halo Infinite should be in a better state. The reason for both of those things is incompetent leadership up top during Halo Infinite development, causing massive stress on those working hard to make Halo the best it could be. The people I worked with every day were very passionate about Halo and wanted to make something great for the fans. They helped push for a better Halo and got laid off for it. Wren added, devs are still there working hard on that dream. Look at Forge. Be kind to them during this awful time. Wren later went on to say, I do want to make sure that I call out how amazing the multiplayer leadership team was during development, seemingly laying the blame at the door of senior management, and the leaders responsible for Halo Infinite's campaign. Schreier said that he had heard versions of Wren's complaints from many other Halo developers. There's just more quotes that kind of go on about that, kind of in that direction. Some more details on the layoff before we kind of start talking about it a little bit more. A thread from a known Halo leaker called Bathrobe Spartan suggests that 343 lost 1/3 of its work. What was that?
Bathrobe Spartan, great name.
Great name. But he's a known leaker and he's someone that actually gives good information. So we're gonna trust him. They suggest that 343 Industries is losing 1/3 of its workforce or more than 130 employees. So it's losing 1/3 of its workforce. Additionally, the rumor says that as a result of this, the studio plans to halt development of Halo single-player campaign-style content and Halo in general for the foreseeable future. Bathrobe Spartan concludes that moving forward, 343 will coordinate additional updates for Halo Infinite's multiplayer, while continuing to outsource the game to partner studios like Skybox, Spearsoft, and Certain Affinity. Supposedly, these layoffs will not affect Halo Infinite's planned content of the Season 3, which is The Echoes Within, coming March 7th. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any more different information, more valuable information. Just a lot of developers upset at what's going on. Last bit of update. Let's see. I mean, yeah, that was pretty much the gist of it. So guys, a lot of layoffs at 343. Third of the workforce. Seems like a lot of the management's being blamed for this. Let's talk a little bit about Halo and the job that 343 had done under it. And then I do have like one more update, which is I would consider it a positive update, but like we could kind of discuss that as well. So Dev, for you, 343, we talked I believe, on the first episode that you were on about Halo briefly, about how much we loved like 2 and 3 and Reach and the job that Bungie did. Obviously, Bungie did a phenomenal job with Halo. Kind of run down the trilogy for you, and like what do you think 343 did? How did they do? If you want to go game to game, that's fine, or as a whole, how do you feel?
I really enjoyed Halo 4. I don't know. I really enjoyed it, just from beginning to end. There was a lot of changes in it that people didn't like, and I understand it, but I got used to it. Halo 5 was a bit more rocky for me, especially with the multiplayer, split screen. Because I could still play Halo 4 split screen. Couldn't do that in Halo 5 anymore. And story wise for Halo 5, it was all over the place, and playing as, it was okay to play as a new character, but how much they kind of shoved him in there, it was just weird. And then Infinite seems like it's the best they've done so far. It seems like, and it's, again, they tried something completely new, but it actually worked this time. I really liked Infinite. I didn't finish the campaign, but I like the mechanics of it. It's a lot different than 4, at least. 4 was a lot different. If I had to give it a grade, just for their trilogy, I'd say like a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Forrest, what about you? Talk us through your experiences with the Halo trilogy under 343, whether it just be multiplayer campaign, however much or however little you played.
I played the multiplayer a little bit, the new one. That came out first, right? And then the campaign?
Yes.
Yeah, so I played the multiplayer. I liked it. It felt like we're back at Halo. It was the first one I played of 343. I think I played their first one, wasn't a fan. Stopped playing after they did 4, right?
Yeah, they did Halo 4, Guardians, and then Infinite.
I skipped Guardians. So I did 4. I did a lot of online with that, and then I did probably like a week of Infinite, and then I just kind of fell off.
Okay.
And nothing that they did. I remember they had a Gundam skin, and I was like, ooh. But that's about it. Like for me, Halo is Halo forever. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not the biggest like Halo guy. Like,
It doesn't change really, which for some people that's a good thing. For others, it's a bad thing. But
yeah, like, and there's nothing wrong with Halo. I'm just like, okay, am I a Spartan? Cool. Do I do it? Do I do the thing with the pew pews? Cool. All right. Death achieved. All right.
So,
Like, that's as far as I go with most Halo stuff.
sure. So TJ in the chat says Halo Infinite is the most average game ever. Combat is excellent. Story is garbage. World is garbage. Everything but gameplay is pure garbage. The game is severely overrated. Garbage. So I mean, I'll talk about Halo for me with 343 before I kind of get to that. My thoughts on that. Well, do you want to chime in on TJ's?
no, I thought that seems. I thought a lot of people liked the game. I mean, I guess that's what he's saying. He's saying it's overrated. So yeah.
Sure. All right. So I mean, for me, I would say I really enjoyed Halo 4. I really liked Halo 4. I thought that the campaign was really good. The story was really good. I would say I would go as far as to say it's not my least favorite Halo campaign at that point.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's definitely not my least favorite now.
Yeah.
Because
we talked about it as we played it, because we played them.
So yeah, so some background information is Dev and I have like a games list where there are a lot of games that he hasn't played, or there's co-op games that I really want to play with him, and we're working our way through this list. And last year we spent a lot of time playing Halo, as we talked about when we oh no, it wasn't last year, it was 2021. It's actually kind of crazy how long it's been. But 2021 we spent a lot of that year playing Halo and getting caught up on the series. We could not split screen Halo 5, which was ridiculous.
Yeah. We had to bring a TV down.
We had to do a bunch of stuff to get a TV downstairs. So there was 2 TVs. Had like a little mini LAN party going, I guess,
which was fun.
It was kind of a throwback. It was kind of cool, but it was still kind of like
inconvenient.
It was a head scratcher.
It was weird.
You had to play on a really small TV. I had my giant TV, and I'm just like, well, this is weird.
It was big enough, but it was just like I had to sit on the floor. It was a weird setup, like you said.
So I really enjoyed Halo 4. Halo Guardians, I'm often left really kind of confused about Halo Guardians because I think on paper, the concept of Guardians is really cool.
Yeah.
Having Master Chief go rogue from the UNSC. Jamie's back. What's up, Jamie? Having the UNSC, Chief kind of split off from that. Such a fascinating concept. Like I was so down
paper.
on paper. But then you get into playing the game and like it's just not managed very well. The game's pretty and like sure it plays well because it's Halo, but like the way TJ feels about Infinite is how I feel about Guardians. I like gameplay, very good gameplay for Guardians, but everything else terrible.
It didn't have that Halo story that we like. You know, there was something like it felt missing, and maybe it was the whole like Cortana thing.
The ending was kind of lame.
Yeah,
like I wasn't even about Cortana's like character arc in the game. Like I didn't have an issue with that.
Okay.
It was just the journey we went on. Like I just didn't think the story was very good. The way Chief was kind of like utilized or underutilized, however you want to look at it, I didn't think that was very good. Just a lot of issues there. And then you get to Halo Infinite, and Halo Infinite's a very weird game for me because it's like I don't agree with TJ, but at the same time I kind of do. I think that I didn't dislike Halo Infinite's story, but I feel like you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. That would be the best way I could describe the story of Halo Infinite. I don't dislike the story of Rise of Skywalker, but the problem is that The Last Jedi was so poorly received that they completely were just like, oh, we got to make all these changes that don't necessarily make sense. And I feel like that's where Halo Infinite finds itself. I think Halo Guardians was so poorly received in the story department that they made a lot of changes that don't make sense to the game. And I don't want to get into spoiler territory because Halo Infinite, I do deem it new enough where I'm not going to really go into it and get into it. TJ says Halo Infinite should be up there with God of War, Zelda, The Last of Us, Splatoon, Pokemon from a quality point of view, as opposed to numbers you could even say Metroid Prime. Yeah, I agree. But like,
I think that goes more into the development hell they've been through for the longest time, having a new engine for this game that no one knew how to use, and it's like it's hard to develop, it's slow development, and now they're talking about switching over to Unreal 5 because that might be easier. It's just sad.
Yeah, but then so for Halo Infinite, like I didn't dislike the story, and them trying an open world, I didn't think it was necessary. Like there was a few moments where I was like, when I first started playing Halo Infinite, I'm like, wow, this is really cool to have this big open world. Like it's kind of crazy, because it's a new direction for Halo.
Yeah.
The appeal wears off pretty early for me. I felt like Halo might just be better off in a level-based format. I know it's kind of viewed as archaic, where like nowadays it's like, every game's got to be open world. Not every game needs to be open world to be a good game. That doesn't mean that open world games are bad. We're not going to have a disagreement, an argument like live service games. Open world games can be good, but some games should not be that. And I think Halo Infinite kind of falls in that category. I feel like there were a lot of key things that just weren't there, even still aren't there. I mean, again, co-op is not. There's no. I think the co-op's there now with online co-op, but there's still no split screen. I find Halo Infinite as kind of a missed opportunity. I don't dislike Halo Infinite though. Like if I were to grade it, if you asked me to give it a score, I'd probably say 8 out of 10, low 8, high 7.
I do think it's the best of their three.
I don't. I think Halo 4 is. I think 4 is the best of the three.
Okay.
But there are moments in Infinite that I really do like. So like I don't want to completely throw Infinite out. 5, absolutely, I'm going to throw Guardians. I'm going to throw Guardians right out the window for about 95% of that game, throwing it out. Infinite though, like it's kind of middle of the road, which is kind of disappointing. TJ says, so we're on the same page. Gameplay good, world is crap, story is boring. You literally do nothing. The villain, garbage villain. This game is infuriating. I would say that I would not say the story is boring. It just, again, it goes that Rise of Skywalker route where it's like I like Rise of Skywalker. I do. I like the story they tell there. But the problem is it doesn't line up with the rest of the story. It feels like someone completely different wrote that story. That's how I feel about Infinite. It's like where we end on Guardians is not where we pick up on Infinite. And that's the biggest problem. Because, like, I mean, again, I don't want to spoil it, but, like, Infinite picks up, like, when you finish Guardians, you are left with questions. You expect those questions to be the key focus of Infinite, but those questions get answered before Infinite starts, and you're just told, okay, well, this happened. And it's the same thing as Rise of Skywalker. It's like it's not bad. It just doesn't. It's nonsensical with the rest of the franchise because they felt the need to go in and address the critics. Which it's good that they listened. But you gotta try to at least stay the course to some degree.
What's episode 7 called?
Episode 7
or 9? I mean 9. of Star Wars?
The
After
Rise of Skywalker.
okay,
The last one. Oh wait, 360. Yeah, you're thinking of the Last Jedi came before the.
Yeah, so for me, Halo 5 is the Last Jedi,
Yeah,
whereas this
completely
is
agree.
this is, but they're trying to fix something that was dropped. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have that's why they're kind of it was a reset button because 5 did so poorly.
Right, and I get it, and that's why like I'm not gonna completely knock it. Like I'm not gonna go TJ level where I'm like the story's boring, the story's terrible. I like the story of Halo Infinite. But again, because they had to kind of build from scratch in your third game of your trilogy, it falls flat.
Sure.
Because Halo, I guess the underlying problem is Halo Guardians is just that bad. Kind of like the way The Last Jedi is just that bad.
Yeah.
That it ruins the thing that comes after it. So yeah, I mean that was kind of where we were at with Halo in terms of the layoffs and stuff. A lot of speculation that Halo was no longer going to be under 343's main control. Some people even went as far as to say that Halo was dead, that it was the end of the franchise. Other people had cool ideas. I saw someone suggest, "Oh man, let id make Halo." People that made Doom.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I'd be down for.
I'd be down for Doom Halo.
Another thing is also they're getting like a lot of when they acquire Activision Blizzard, they're gonna have some people on the Call of Duty side who maybe can like let's keep it Halo, but maybe let's
right.
throw some development in it.
Right. All right. Let's see here. But we did get.
I think the future of Halo is looking okay for now.
Right. Well, there was a Halo update.
Yes.
And this was actually so behind the scenes stuff. This script was made before this update happened. This update came out last night. We were watching the Eagles game when this update came out. 343 actually put out an official response. And they say, Halo and Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. Studio head, Pierre Hintz. So,
a little bit of hope.
I think there is a little bit of hope. I think that what Halo needs right now is to go on the back burner. I think that still continue to support Halo Infinite. I'm not saying Halo Infinite.
I agree with you
because they're doing good work there with Halo Infinite. But I think if I'm Xbox, if I'm Microsoft, I'm letting 343 basically go into hiding. I'm like, guys, there's been a lot of issues with 343 since day one. You guys made a good Halo 4, but ever since then, struggling at the studio. Whether that's leadership, whoever it is. I would let that studio go into hibernation, fix your problems, come back into like 5 years, maybe even more, and bring Halo back. I think that with Bethesda on board now, I'm expecting Activision to go through. With Bethesda and Activision getting on board, and you have these other studios you've put money into, you can have Starfield and you can have Gears of War carry the Xbox banner for the next decade. Mm-hmm. I really feel strongly about that. I think because not only do you have Starfield, you have Elder Scrolls coming out after that. You have Fallout coming out after that.
And other studios. They have other studios that don't even know what they're working.
Exactly.
So Halo can go away for a while.
Yeah, and I think that would be best. I think, they were they needed Halo. When Xbox realized they had a problem back when it canceled Scalebound, they realized, oh crap, we have 3 developers technically, two developers working on franchises. We have Gears of War, we have Forza, we have Halo, and then we have Fable. And like Lionhead closed, so they weren't working on Fable. So you were and Bungie left, so you didn't have anyone on Halo. And at that point, they realized they had a problem, and they had to start correcting that problem. Unfortunately, it's a problem that takes years to fix. But I think that in the long run, let Halo take that time off and let your other franchises and IPs hold down the fort. Mm-hmm. And then when Halo comes back, it's going to be hype. Or if you have anything you want to add.
I mean, not really. I'm not the biggest Halo guy. Like, hey man, the Doom thing sounded cool. Like, I'd be down.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all we got for the show tonight. Let's end the show with what we're doing right now, what we're playing right now. Dev, what are you playing right now?
Nothing new. No. I'm slowly. The thought process of getting back into Breath of the Wild is there. I want to start Breath of the Wild again before Tears of the Kingdom comes out. But Not playing much this week. No.
Okay. Forrest, are you playing anything?
I played Mech Arena yesterday. They actually sponsored my Twitch, and it was actually a lot of fun. I played for like 4 hours straight. Like I was being
Yeah, I
toxic.
played
I was
Mech
like,
Arena for
get
about
good, get good.
yeah.
What was
Yeah,
that?
I played too. Yeah, we both played. We were both playing that yesterday, actually.
Yeah. um but and then Sunbreak still trying to catch up. I hit that wall where I need to grind to get the armors I want. And then I'm gonna be playing Divinity 2 this week, which is like an RPG Dungeons and Dragons Baldur's Gate-esque kind of like a dice RPG. And I'm very interested. I've never played a game like that, and I'm very interested in it. So I'll have that experience next time we talk.
Cool. I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Jeff, how's Warzone 2 Modern Warfare 2 treating you?
I have not been playing. Once I heard that the Season 2 update was delayed, I delayed my play.
So you're waiting for Season 2?
Yes.
That's fair. It's understandable. Well, so as I said on last week's episode, I wrapped up Majora's Mask. I played over the weekend Escape Academy, which is on Game Pass. It's kind of like an escape room kind of game. We were talking about it. I really think you would like it. I think you should. I think you should play it. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, that was really good. And then now I'm going to be starting Fire Emblem Engage because it came yesterday. Amazon almost screwed me over, but it did come only the day after release. So I guess that's good. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Yeah, go take a look. But yeah, so I think that's all we have here for you guys tonight on episode 11 of the Game Room Podcast. Thank you to Jamie and thank you to TJ hanging out with us in the chat. Really appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit the like button on your way out. You can follow us down below at our social media stuff. And I believe, is Forrest's Twitch in the description or is it just his social media? It's his Twitter. Oh, his Twitch is there too. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So you can follow
I'll be
Forrest down
streaming
below.
tomorrow.
Forrest, what are you streaming right now? Are you just doing Monster Hunter still?
I'm still doing Monster Hunter. That'll be the big thing. And then I don't know if I'm streaming Divinity or not. But I will be in a collab. I don't know who's streaming it, but like I'm doing it with we're playing with 4 other streamers, so it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be very unhinged.
Nice. But yeah, so anyway, that sounds great. Make sure you follow Forrest and where he's at with his streaming and stuff. And once again, thank you to everyone hanging out with us tonight. Just an FYI, if you're new to the channel, we also have wrestling podcasts. We have the Broken Tables podcast on Wednesday nights and Friday nights, following AEW Dynamite and Rampage. We would love to have you guys hang with us and talk wrestling as well. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.